I think we got the audio right this time. I hope we did. Live from Las Vegas, this is the Rational Male. Today we're going to talk about why women love bad men. Audio is fine. We are 100% good to go. All systems go. Green light, go. I have brother Captain Kyle.
Finally in.
Yes, I have brother Captain Kyle is in the house today. There, see, that's for you. Brother Captain Kyle is in here. I am the master of mankind. God Emperor of the universe. Oh, see, look how cool I am. I'm already in the lead here. And then I go and I say, well, you know, the guy in Tinder Swindler had some really dark triad personality traits. And look what happened as a result. These girls find him irresistible. And, you know, he was able to get away with all this. And so if I say it's women's nature to love the bad boy, it's women's nature to love the narcissist, the psychopath, and the Machiavellian guy, and in varying combinations, and they find that guy irresistible. Observation, I'm not even giving you best practices in this. I'm making one observation based on your data, and here's an example of your data in the real world. No. You guys are fucking toxically masculine, manipulative sons
You're
of bitches.
bastardizing my data.
You're bastardizing my data. And I'm like, no. And you know why? Because those connections that I just made shine a pretty dark light on females' nature.
Not only that,
right?
look, these guys want to be as big as possible.
I'm not even trying to make women look bad. I'm just, if anything else, I'm like saying, this is part of your nature. At least accept it and use that information so that when the next Tinder Swindler comes around, you go, wait a minute.
But here's the thing, though. This
I
is
remember
what
Rollo said.
This is the thing with women, though, that I've noticed that like men don't suffer from this shit. If I talk about the dark side of male nature and the issues with male nature, guys are going to look at me crazy. Yeah. Like if I say guys are horn dogs and they want to fuck girls.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You're wonderful, Myron.
You can go ahead and talk about the dark side of male nature all fucking day. No one gives a shit. No guy's going to check you on it. No one.
Ads are men that women wouldn't date if they didn't have kids. Let me read that again. Stepdads are men that women wouldn't date
if the women didn't have kids.
If they didn't have kids.
Facts.
It's crazy.
Facts. Yeah, facts.
It's horrible.
That's techie.
Yeah.
That's facts, though.
Hey, y'all. Things like OF girls are but like I'm a virgin.
I know. But do you collab with guys though?
Yeah, of course.
Wait, so then how are you a virgin?
Because it's for work. I'm filming. It's kind of like a tax write-off. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Like I've lost track of that. I don't think I can count.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that. So
yeah,
you're a virgin.
but I'm a virgin.
Okay. Same.
Yeah. Men love to make their lives harder. Like, why are you driving a manual car? Why are you modding out your car? Like, just get a car with a backup camera. Stop being broke.
The richest women in the world, like where they got their money from. It's rough. It's rough out there, guys. They ain't fucking starting businesses. They're marrying dummies. It's almost all of it is divorce. Feminists do not want to hear this. But there was one woman who was the richest woman ever from a startup company, Elizabeth Holmes. She had ran a company called Theranos. She started it herself, dropped out of college to start this company, and it was a total fraud. It was all fraudulent. She's going to jail forever. She was worth $34 billion at one point. It was a blood testing company. They falsified all sorts of data, and they lied to investors and all sorts of shit. She used to dress like Steve Jobs. She wore a black turtleneck and everything, and I saw her speak once.
One source of divorce is not infidelity or lack of shared values. It's usually got something to do with money. And also 70% of divorce filings are filed by women. We don't like to say this because we like to pretend women have no agency and that they're just doughy little foes. When a man loses his status as a provider, he's very inclined to be on the wrong end of divorce. So I think a lot about young men. I think a lot about financial security. I think every man should start with the notion that he's going to be responsible for the economic well-being of his household. And by the way, sometimes that means getting out of the way and being more supportive supportive of your partner who happens to be better at that money thing than you. And that's a wonderful thing. But start from a position of, this is my responsibility.
Yeah, try selling women on that one.
Let's say he's an 8. He's a lawyer who lives in Wichita, Kansas, and you have a girl. Let's say she's an 8. I don't mean by physical attractiveness. I mean just stratifying them as far as their market value in the dating market. You have an 8 guy and 8 girl. They both live in Wichita. The difference is the guy in Wichita would normally have married the girl in Wichita, but now the girl in Wichita is being flown out to LA to go be at the Ignite party, the Maxim party, the Playboy Mansion, and now she ends up maybe or maybe not having with a celebrity or some rich guy. And so now the 8 guy is not dating the 8 girl in Wichita anymore. He's going for a 7, a 6, a 5, a 4. The average guy is now being decimated by the high status man. The middle class for men is sort of disappearing because of social media. There is no average social media. There's incredible social media or you're garbage. That's it.
Comment the word guide below and I'll send you my
Thanks, Mike.
Chris Williams summarized it perfectly. Called it the high heels effect. In the last 40 years, more women have graduated from college than men, and they're not interested in mating with non-college grads. They now own more homes, single women, than single men. So what you have is women say they won't date anyone shorter than them, 50% of them. Effectively, what you have metaphorically over the last 40 years is women have been getting taller and taller, and men have been getting shorter and shorter. How many of us have said, I know a ton of great single women, they can't find a date? That's not true. They can't find a date. They can't find a man they find economically or emotionally viable. If we don't make a massive investment in young people and make more economically and emotionally viable men, we're going to see a lack of household formation, we're going to see a decline in the middle class, and we're going to see, quite frankly, just a lot of young men who are terrible citizens.
Yeah, you're all terrible citizens. You like that?
Female romantic fantasy. The female myth is Beauty and the Beast. Tameable beast. In the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast, the woman who's quite a stellar character, right? She's beautiful and she's wise and she's intelligent. She has her choice. Like she's got loser, the village men. She's got narcissist, that's Gaston. And she's got beast. Now, stupid women like narcissists. Naive women like narcissists because they confuse their narcissism with competence and confidence. And that's how narcissists exploit. They look like they're confident. They look like they're competent. Beauty, Gaston is after her, wants to charm her. She goes for the beast. Well, the beast is a monster. He's a traumatized monster even. But she hopes that he's tameable, that she can bring him into relationship. And like a good beast has options, but he'll forgo the options for the relationship. That's the female sexual fantasy. Tameable beast. Now that's rough, right? Because how likely is it that you're going to be able to tame a beast? Not that likely, but pretty damn useful if you can do it. Then you have someone who can keep the real beasts at bay. Like women have to negotiate a very tight line because they're looking for men who are disagreeable enough to be able to tell the monsters to go to hell, but who are generous and productive enough to share. That's a hard target to hit. It's a hard target for a man to become too.
And what happens at the end of Beauty and the Beast? He turns into the handsome prince.
Young people mistake passion for a hobby. They think, I'm really into sports, or I want to be a DJ, or I want to be a model or in fashion. Okay, just keep in mind, those industries have a 90+% unemployment rate. And if you're really that talented, you'll know at a very early age that you're meant to be the next Messi. But America is a loving,
actually, no, you won't, you dumb son of a bitch.
Generous place if you have money. It's a rapacious, violent place if you don't. A series of behaviors and approaches and strategies that aren't that hard and they require less discipline if you start them early can lead you to economic security. Find something you're good at that has a 90+% employment rate. And what I have found is that jobs are like asset classes. The more they're invested, the more human capital that goes into them, the lower the return. And that there's an inverse return on your career based on how sexy their career is.
Dude, this dude is just like, I have been like trying to like square the circle that is Scott Galloway for a while now, and I'm just coming to the conclusion is he's just fucked up. There's just no other nice way of saying it right now. Like, give up on your dreams, everybody. I'll tell you what's funny is like when you listen to stuff like that is like the best advice you can give to a Delta male. But you remember, do you know what a Delta male? A Delta male is the guys that are like just the go along to get along guys. Those guys are they're the punch in, do your 40 hours a week and punch back out. No greater ambitions beyond that. And I love how this is the same motherfucker that says like, oh yeah, well, we need guys who are more economically attractive. We need guys who are ambitious. And then in the next breath and in the next sentence, it's like, well, but don't get too crazy. Don't get ahead of yourself, guys. It's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. The guy's an economist. He's a business guy. He's not a psychologist. He's not a sociologist. He sure the fuck isn't some like social philosopher for the 21st century. I think that the sooner we give up on the mentality that Scott Galloway throws out. He's just basically jumping in with both feet, trying to get into the sort of the social situation, the narrative that's going on right now. By the way, he's basically the male version of Sadia Khan. He really is. I mean, the guy's just like, he has no background in anything, but then he just jumps in. He starts saying the right things. And by the way, this is just how like, you know, Andrew Tate and Pearl and the rest of these schmucks got into the red pill. They saw everybody else doing it, and they think, oh, I could probably do some. I could probably jump in with that one too. Yeah. And it's like, no, you can't, because your underlying sort of implicit or explicit bias is always going to shine through. And every time I see something by Scott Galloway, it's the same shit sandwich with different bread. You know, I've seen the one where he's talking about how like, because men aren't men anymore and these guys are just like won't man up and they're all pussified and everything. And we're like, yeah, that sounds red pill. And then he goes, yeah, and that's the reason for climate change. I'm like, what? Like, where the hell did that come from? Hey, do the Kyle cam just so we know our Kyle's actually a real live human being. We got the Kyle. I know we should probably put the lights on over you.
Yeah, I'm dark.
Yeah. Well, welcome today. That we got off to a little bit of a shaky start today. I'm glad we got the sound finally squared away, and I think we got the sound drops are working as well. So finally getting into it here. His background is most definitely marketing. And I'll tell you, the thing is like, the kind of stuff like that's the kind of shit my dad would say. I hate to say that, but it's like, I'm listening to fucking Scott Galloway, who's probably not that much older than I am. I think he's probably like 50. He's just this side of 60. I'm like, dude, did like life just like hammer you flat when you were younger or something like that? And it's like, I love these guys. Like, that's one of the reasons why I have a real tough time. I've always had a real like problem with Jordan Peterson, is because Peterson like just came out of nowhere, and you wouldn't even know who Peterson is if he hadn't done that one video of him sort of confronting the students at, I want to say it was Ontario. Was it Ontario or was it Toronto? I'm not really sure. One of those Canadian places outside of his own college, you know, saying like, hey, I'm not going to use your pronouns because I'm not going to be forced to say the language you want me to say. Right. He marched that back a little bit later on, but you wouldn't even know who he was if it wasn't for that one sort of confrontation that he had. And then everybody started looking him up and they started listening to his stuff and they go, oh, wow, this guy actually, he kind of sounded like something that they could sort of ideologically align with. And to his credit, he did take it and ran with it. So
it was the SJW days. Where it was destroying these liberals and doing all this.
And that's, you know, it's funny because I see like, you know, what kills me is like, I know Matt Walsh has his new, am I a racist bra or something like that? And it's like, what is a woman? Am I a racist? It's like, what's the next question? You know, do my fart stink? I mean, what's the the thing is that like Matt and the rest of these guys, and including Jordan Peterson, who by the way also is licensed to Daily Wire. The thing about these dudes is they'll for the longest time, like a guy like Matt Walsh would badmouth like Myron and Fresh, like Fresh and Fit, for like, oh, you bring all these girls on there and you just like badmouth them and you just cherry pick these girls and it's just so you can sort of dress them down and kick them off the show kind of thing, or you're hoping that they're gonna like, you know, castle themselves or some shit like that. And I'm like, that's exactly what you're doing with What Is a Woman. You're like going in there doing that gotcha interview in the hopes that they're gonna rage quit and leave, and most of them did, right? I mean, how is that any different than like what Myron and Fred, they just got to it before you did? I mean, is that the whole thing? I mean, functionally, marketing wise, you know, like just sort of outrage bait wise, it's the same formula. It's just you're doing it with a different class of people is all. It's like the anti, SJW stuff. So what are you going to do about it? Let me grab these right quick. Thanks, brother man. Yes, I've been playing the hell out of Space Marine 2. That's yes, as you can see. Brother Captain Kyle's back there. So is a love a dirty trick that our genes play on us in order to propagate themselves into the next generation? Yes. Yes, it is. It is. Is it a dirty trick? No, it's not a dirty trick. It's actually, it has the emotion, the emotive state of love is a functional advantage. Clearly it has. It's to foster like pair bonding. It's to foster unity between tribes. It's to foster kin altruism. The most useful emotion that you can feel, and of course we always think of it as sort of like the greatest emotion. I mean, to the point where it's like, well, God is love, right? That's an emotion, right? I'm like, okay, well, fine. But we want to elevate love to almost like to deify it, right? We want to turn it into a God itself. Primarily because it's so important to social cohesion and it's so important to like family cohesion. So is it necessarily a dirty trick? I don't think it's necessarily a dirty trick. It just depends on like whether you're on the sharp side of the stick or you're not. But no, I mean, it clearly has a function to it. Just like anger has a function to it, just like hate has a function to it, just like, joy and depression and everything else. Emotions are emotive states, I should say, are meant to motivate you to go from one position to another. And usually that has to do with either reproduction or survival. So have you ever been hangry? What are you motivated to do? Kill something and eat it. Don't kill pets. Please don't kill pets. I've seen enough freaking pet killing and cooking. I don't even want to go on Twitter anymore.
Yeah,
I'm going to avoid Twitter until this fucking narrative is over because you guys already know I've been rescuing greyhounds since like 2010, and if I got to see another dog on a grill with its legs up like this, I'm like, my dog does that naturally because it's a greyhound and they roach. It's like you just keep that shit over there for a little while. And maybe I'll come back after the election's over and we can stop like hating on everybody else. One of the things I notice quite a bit, and I think maybe it's a little bit more exaggerated on this particular election cycle, is in every election cycle, we are expected to hate each other. We just are. We're so like the white folks hate the black folks, and black folks hate the white folks. And the Latinos hate the Asians, and the Indians hate the Pajeets. There's a new one for you. Everybody's supposed to hate it. If you want to know why is it that we are like, we don't talk about this shit prior to like an election, right? But like when it's like we're 18 months out, that's when the shit starts. That's when the freaking machine starts rolling. And then we get into August and September right before the freaking elections, and it's like we're cooking dogs.
It's like what the hell?
Like what the hell? Like, why do you leave my pets out of this? God damn it. And now we hate the Haitians and everybody hates the Jews. So what can you say? Jesus Christ. Lesbian divorce rate is 30% higher than heterosexuals. Yes. Gay men have the lowest divorce rates. Yes. You know why? Because they don't care who you fuck. Is it because women are better at doing paperwork? No, it's because men like to fuck and women don't necessarily like to fuck. Or shouldn't say that. Here's the thing is, I think what's funny is like we've used this before. Like Mike has used this on several occasions. And I think I might have once or twice on Access Vegas when we were in the old studio. We bring out the fact that I think I brought this up one time. I said, that the divorce rate is like initiated 70 at the very least 70% of the time by women, right? Oh, well, it's because men are assholes, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, but lesbian couples actually break up more than gay, homosexual men, right? Why do you think that is? Because women are fucked up. That's why you can't even women can't please women. So that's why. Like, what are you going to do about it? And you don't win, ladies. There's no scenario in which like you win in that particular article. And I think what's funny is I've been dealing with this. One of the reasons I wanted to do today's topic, which is like why are men drawn to bad, or why are women drawn to bad boys? I have done shows like this before, but I wanted to go through my sort of my roster of tweets. I've got, as you know, I'm a consummate like note taker. I've been following. Somebody sent me a bunch of stuff. There's some new incidents of the female teacher student. Let's just say sexual assault. Because it sounds better than what we ought to be calling it, that we can't actually say that word on YouTube. But you know what I'm talking about. And you'll probably type it in the chat any minute now. But the fact is like we're up to. I went back through my because I keep a folder of all the teacher student liaisons for the last year. I started collecting them in February of this year, and so I can't really speak for January, although I probably could go back through January too. But from February to the end of August, we are now up to 56 separate unique incidents of that statutory grape of young male students. And I love how like we try to dance around this. And the reason why I brought this up in the first place is, well, I think a lot of people, when I talk about hybristophilia, which is of course the tendency for women to want to get with hardened criminals, in some cases rapists, and convicted felons, murderers, the worst of the worst, Colombian drug lords, weapons and arms dealers and that kind of stuff. People on death row are very much here. You know what? Actually, I've got a really. In fact, I might as well just call this up right now. This guy right here, Deadpool killer. Oh yeah, who murdered two women for the sake of killing them. Didn't get jilted or anything. Flooded with messages from lovesick fangirls. Ladies, we have a problem here.
Have you heard any of those calls of because there were leaked calls from them?
Mm-hmm. Oh no, are they out there?
Yeah, because it's public info.
Oh man, if you can find those, see if you can find those. That'd be great. I would love to hear at least one. Although, are they something we can actually put on YouTube? I don't know. Yeah, because so I'm looking at the Deadpool killer guy here, and then it's like tattoo Deadpool killer Wade Wilson. There you go. Has lovesick ladies begging a judge to save his life, even though he brutally slaughtered two women in 2019 just for the sake of killing. Wilson, 30, has received nearly 4,000 messages in prison. 4,000! Holy shit! Many from misguided. 4,000. Can we really use the term misguided? I mean, is that the proper vernacular at this stage? Because I'm thinking no. And have sent him X-rated photos. So they're stripping their clothes off for Wade Wilson, who by basically, you look at those tats, man. Yeah, it's funny is he wouldn't be a bad looking dude with the tats off right there, right? Yep. He almost has that Jeffrey Dahmer appeal, right? Letters to judge begs him to spare the life of the double murderer, Wade Wilson. According to public records, authorities had to reject 163 inappropriate photos. 4,000 chicks, and of the 4,000, yep. There's 163. No, we can't do that. She's like, no. She's got her fingers up. No, increasing the pleasure. Yeah, no. Ladies, what's wrong? What the hell is wrong? Well, we're going to get into that today. That was actually one of the reasons I wanted to do today's topic, because I think that a lot of that has to do, a lot of the teacher student stuff is pretty much along the same lines, right? Why on earth would women want to get with a guy like that? I keep saying this, and this is sort of like a Rolloism. I get it, but I almost have made this a hashtag for my Twitter, which is not all women are hybristophiles. Hybristophilia, right? Hybristophilia is exactly what I just showed you. It's 4,000 women sending love letters and cootie shots to freaking Wade there. But not all women are hybristophiles. Not every single woman is going to do something like that, right? But there's enough of them, at least 4,000 of them. 4,000. I think that's a pretty good, in any psychological sample date psych, you're going to use, you want to have a good, a strength of signal, so you've got to have a good sample. I would say 4,000 women is probably a pretty good signal as to these women aren't necessarily fucked up. They're not all damaged. Okay, because that's going to be the first thing out of anybody's mouth is, well, they're damaged women. They have daddy issues. There's real problems with them. No, there's 4,000 of them. The sheer effect size of 4,000 women doing that. I kind of have to point this out. I got to hold a mirror up, and you can look in it if you want to, right? But 4,000. And 163 of those pictures didn't make it through. God damn it, man. It makes you wonder, like, what were the prison guards, like, or whoever's like doing the censorship, like, go, nah, let that one through, but not these. What? and what's funny is like they probably had to let some of them through, right? Yeah. So yeah. What's the criteria for that? Somebody in the prison system, please, like, reach out to me. I want to know what's too much. The guy's a multiple killer, killed just for the sake of it. What's too much for this guy? Oh Jesus. So anyways, so yeah, I wanted to get into that, and then I also wanted to point something else out. So I went back through my backlog of teacher student essay, let's just say, and we're up to number 56. This last one, this most recent one, is number 56. Did I load her in here? I haven't loaded her picture yet, but anyway, I have it on Twitter. I'll pull it up on Twitter. But got a new one, and of course, this woman she's a teacher. She fits that bill. She fits the profile, the profile, by the way. And there is a profile for they tend to be in their mid 20s to early 30s. Very rarely are they any older than that. They tend to be married. They tend to be newly married. And like, there are some definite like cues. There's some definite correlates here. And so it keeps happening over and over again, right? So like, they're not all damaged. Okay. So I think with a pool like 56 just for this year, I originally started out tracking these things, excuse me, as far back as like 2018, because Pat Campbell and I, back in the Pat Campbell days, that was one of the first topics we really talked about, was like, why is this so prevalent? Why do we keep seeing these incidents keep coming up again and again? And that was 2018, and they have definitely accelerated and amplified since then. And I'm wondering if anybody's even keeping track of this besides myself, because I'll tell you who's not keeping track of this. It's none of these guys in the evolutionary psychology circles. None of them have it. None of our ivory tower gatekeepers seem to have any response whatsoever for this. And the reason for that is because women are wonderful. We can't possibly, we wouldn't want to bring anything up that might be unflattering or might be something that's a part of female nature. In fact, we don't even want to acknowledge female nature in the ivory tower academia world right now. Male nature, no problem, right? But we can get into masculine apologetics all day long, but we want to sort of reserve this sinless category for women, that they could never be hybristophiles. They could never in some way, be sexually assaulting their students to any degree. And if we did, then we've got to find some sort of, counterbalance. Well, men do it too. Not like this, because there's more women in education than there are men, period. The numbers don't fucking lie, man. So if you were in a public school system of some sorts, and I'm just using this as general terms, if you're in a public school system of some sorts in the United States, you are, I think it's somewhere like 78 or 79% of your teachers from kindergarten, well, really preschool, all the way up to your postgraduate school, are going to be female teachers. That's why. It's just simply laws of averages, man. There are simply more female teachers than there are male teachers. That's why this is so prevalent right now. Well, I can't believe all these women are, because there's more women. That's why. Men can't even send what might be considered an inappropriate text to a female student without losing, 10 years of their life investing in becoming a teacher in the first place, so they can work for a starting salary of about $45,000 to $50,000 a year. And so, like, why would anybody want to do that? I talked to Richard Reeves about this. Probably Scott Galloway would probably be a good person to talk about this, although he wouldn't know he would understand the analysis. He just wouldn't have any kind of like prescription or any kind of like diagnosis for it, right? But the fact of the matter is like, we want to say, we need to get more men into education. How? Tell me how you're going to do that. Because guys, they walk a tightrope as it is just in regular like work life, not to mention like getting into a potentially volatile, career path, like becoming a school teacher, and God forbid you get into like a subject that women tend to dominate in, right? You say you want to get into social studies, you want to psychology, you want to get into hell, even just teaching history for frick's sake, most men tend to be either coaches or they teach mathematics. Those are the two things that men excel at when it comes to teaching. And they're only in it because tutoring is not as lucrative as actually teaching. And actually, I would almost say tutoring is probably like being a tutor is probably, if you're a man and you're a math tutor, you're going to make more money as a tutor than you will as a teacher. And there's less margin for error. There's less margin to worry about, the risks that you would have to just like being a human being with a penis dangling between your legs at some public school, right? So, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get those guys into those situations? I every time I look at Scott Galloway and I listen to this guy, it's like, well, men need to man up and they need guide rails. And I've got some other videos of him that I might opine on, but the underlying narrative, the underlying truth of all this is like, well, men are dropping out because, well, A, it's risky as fuck. And then B, it's like, what's the return on investment? What's the return on investment? What's the motivation? What's the reason for doing that? This is not Rolo going black pill. I'm just asking a question here. What is their investment? What do they get in return for that? Because I showed you, I went over that one video. Maybe I'll go over it again. I've got it. We did it on Access Vegas. Like, what do guys get out of it? What do they get out of marriage? What do they get out of teaching? What do they get out of participating in society? Right? I mean, Scott Galloway is worried that we're going to have this society of volatile, hostile men just walking around with nothing better to do. Like, it's like the Arab Spring or something in the United States. It's like, dude, that has been going on for a long time. Like, the time to sort of, clutch your pearls was like 10 years ago, not now. So, but why is that? Well, because as we see, women are more empowered and everything else. I'm going to see if I got this one video. I think I'll dig it up here. It's in Mike's videos here. Sometimes I sort of cross-pollinate with Mike's stuff here. That's not it. Oh, here we go. This is the Successful Women Are Cursed video. Here we go.
Today are more successful than ever. They're more professionally successful. They're more financially independent. Women get more college degrees and graduate degrees than men do. There's even some data that over 50% of business startups are done by women. There are a lot of resources now for women in the corporate world, in the world of tech. When it comes to building a career, it's the best time in history to be a woman. However, as women become more successful, the dating pool of acceptable men significantly shrinks. This is
that acceptable men.
This is an uncomfortable truth to talk about, but
so it's not about love. Thank you for bringing that up, right? It's not. It's like, is this a dirty trick? Well, when we're looking at the macroeconomics of the sexual marketplace, you might have a point.
Women are hardwired to be attracted to men who are in the same socioeconomic status or higher. So as we are
and if you are in the same socioeconomic status, they want you to get higher. They're only with you. Like, women, I think this is one of the biggest misnomers that, one of the bigger mistakes I think that we make. Like, if I'm looking at this, for example, like if we want to believe in a regulated sexuality, which of course everybody wants to suddenly tag this with assortative. Did I say it right, Alex? Assortative mating right here. The fact of the matter is that women don't, a 6 doesn't want to get with a 6. And if she does get with a 6, she gets with a guy who is a 6, who has a potential to become a 7. And he better have some sort of marketable skill. He better have some sort of something that makes her sacrifice of getting with a 7 or an 8 or trying to get with a 7 or an 8. He better have some sort of value added or some sort of potential that pushes him over the edge. And if he doesn't have that, and if he doesn't display that in a certain amount of time, you're done. You're out.
Are now living in this modern era where women are more successful than ever. You see a lot of these women surpassing men educationally, professionally, financially. So that means that the dating pool available to these women is smaller and smaller and smaller. It is what it is. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. It is what it is.
Okay. So it is what it is. Thank you for that. You're welcome. Okay. So we're looking at, if we are going to take this at face value, and of course trust me, we're going to come full circle here as to why women want to. You want to know? I'll just give you the kicker, right? Spoiler alert: the reason women love bad boys is because they got everything set up, right? ladies, like rejoice. Everything has been done for you. Like you're finally where you wanted to be, right? You're more educated, you're more financially set, you're more emotionally secure, even though you're marrying yourself or a bridge or a dog or a chandelier or something like that, right? But the thing is like one of the things that really kind of gets me when I'm listening to like I think even what Jordan Peterson was just saying this a second ago is, oh, it's Beauty and the Beast. She's not naive. She's a smart young lady. She's the archetype. Belle is the archetype for the smart young lady, and she's not going to get schnockered by a Gaston. And it's like, no, actually, if you think about it, like from socioeconomic perspective, Gaston was actually the better choice in that scenario, because the guy he's well liked. He might be full of himself and arrogant, but most women actually dig on that, especially today, right? Because if she's already got herself set up, why would she want to get with this like self-loathing, pensive, sort of brooding beast? Like what woman would get? It's funny. It's like whenever I see this, like there was a series. I should probably look this up too. There's an essay series. Somebody did this, I think, as like one of their like psychological thesis papers or something like that. How Belle should have actually chosen Gaston over the Beast, which of course, the whole story goes to hell after that. But just like you got to remember, like the story of Beauty and the Beast takes place at a certain time in history, right? And it's like during that time, Gaston would have been the better choice than the Beast. Also, the Beast kidnapped Belle's father in the frame for them to even like meet up in the first place. He was also like responsible for like killing off a whole bunch of people or whatever, which is why his soul went into the freaking rose and it was under the thing until he found true love again and all this other shit. And his friends are basically animated. They're actually humans. They're actually his staff that got like transformed into like a candlestick and a fucking, teapot and everything else. That's some fucked up shit, man. Like you really want to get with this guy because you might be, I don't know, a freaking doorknob next. What's going to happen to Belle if he decides to like turn her into a piece of furniture? But through her feminine wiles, she, saves him from himself. And I think the height of the most arrogant part of that whole thing is that to presume that the beast, like she falls in love with the Beast and that's the end of it. Like, no, he turns into the prince afterwards. Like he turns into this completely tamed, civilized guy. And I think that if there was like Beauty and the Beast part 2, it'd be Beauty leaving the prince because you're so boring now, and she's like leaves him to go get with Gaston because Gaston's like more jacked and he looks more like the Beast than the prince, who looks like this kind of weesh little homo kid. Emo kid. Yeah, it's like if you look at the background of it, and nobody wants to look. I'm going by the Disney thing, of course, but like if you look past sort of like the romanticism of it, I understand the moral of the story. I get it. I understand the lesson, and it does actually. I think probably it's not the win that Jordan Peterson would like it to be, but the thing is she falls in love with the Beast. She falls in love with the bad boy. She falls in love with the guy who can like kiss ass and taste. He can like literally tear the throat out of you because he's got like incisors like a freaking animal, right? He's like a wolf. But he can also dance because she teaches him how to dance, right? It's like Beauty and the Beast, by the way, is also it's an archetype. If you look at Tarzan is basically Beauty and the Beast, right? He's Tarzan, the ape man, right? He's raised in the jungle and he's uncivilized, and he, his family is like a bunch of chimps or gorillas or some shit like that, right? Because he got left as a child and they adopted him. Oh, and there's Michael Sartain. You guys win. Who had Sartain at 1:44 p.m. Pacific time? Thanks, Mike. Yep, I knew it. Sooner or later, Michael Sartain does not know that he's actually part of this show. Somebody needs to reach out and say, hey, when are you gonna, like, you can win. We should have like a prize or something like that.
Right.
Like, if you guess the time that Mike text me during the show.
I mean, you could do like a free super chat question.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, you get a free super chat question if you guess that. You have to do it right at the beginning of the show, though. Okay, I will read your super chat for free. I will read your chat for free if you're the guy that guessed 145. That's what we should do. You set your clock to it. I know it. But anyways, Yeah. So, but as far as like the beauty and the, you know, the divine feminine, the divine feminine, it civilizes it soothes the savage beast. Right? I mean, really, I mean, think about it this way. Like if you look at like the character of like the Hulk and Black Widow, right?
Yeah, Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner. And so what is the only one who can like soothe the savage beast is Black Widow, right? And it's and we expect that. It's almost, well, okay, he's the Hulk. Well, who could possibly talk him off the edge? sure as hell ain't Iron Man. so it has to be the chick, right? So we have this expectation that the beautiful woman is going to in some way like tame the savage beast. The problem is once they've got him tamed, that's the end of that, right? I have an essay. I'll give you the brief rundown of it, but I wrote this way back in the day, way back before you even knew who Jordan Peterson was. It was called The Ballad of Clark Kent. And The Ballad of Clark Kent, I'll paraphrase it a little bit. It's actually pretty good. It's on I think I put it in the first book. It's in the first or second book, but it's called The Ballad of Clark Kent. And essentially it goes something like this: is that Clark Kent is Superman. Superman he can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He can stop locomotives with his bare hands. He's bulletproof. The dude has laser vision and X-ray vision, and the dude can fly. Okay. So like he's Superman. And there's only two things that can really like weaken Superman. Obviously kryptonite is one of them, right? But you know what's more effective than kryptonite? Lois Lane. Lois Lane is more dangerous to Superman than kryptonite, because Superman will become unsuper. He will willingly become unsuper for Lois Lane. And so the story goes like this. So he can fly. He sweeps Lois off her feet, and they start dating. And she's like, just on cloud nine because she's with Superman. And then after a while, it's like, why do you always have to be super? Why do you always have to go out and fight crime? Why don't you get a normal job? Why don't you be like Scott Galloway says, and like just find something that's a 90%? Why don't you get in something into STEM or something like that? Well, so what does he do? He becomes a mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, the Daily Planet, right? And so what does he do? He starts wearing suits, and he dresses a little bit differently. He doesn't use his superpowers. He doesn't fly anymore. Doesn't need to. He's bulletproof, but he's not putting himself in front of bullets anymore. And he's just kind of going along and working a 9 to 5, 40 hours, maybe 60-hour work week. I mean, it is journalism, right? And then he starts wearing glasses. This is Superman. Superman does not need to wear glasses. He has X-ray vision, for fuck's sake. He does not need to wear glasses, but he does because, well, it makes him look a little more intellectual for Lois. Lois really likes the glasses, right? There's nothing wrong with his vision, right? Let's let that sink in. And so then after a while, she gets kind of bored and everything, and they get married or whatever. And then she meets him, Bruce Wayne. Millionaire mogul, billionaire, and he's got game, but he's a maverick. He's a Sigma male, right? He does things he's a vigilante. He's the Dark Knight. He fights for good and everything, but he does it his way. And so eventually she starts seeing Batman, right? Or starts seeing Bruce Wayne, right? Until later on, Clark Kent discovers that there's an affair going on between Lois Lane and Batman, and he like loses his shit and he starts crying. I was like, because she taught him that he needed to be vulnerable. Of course, Superman needs to be vulnerable, right? He's like, well, I can't believe you do this. And what does Lois Lane says? Well, I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself because, well, he's a superhero. And so essentially the moral of the story is that you go from being this badass super alpha guy, being the beast, right? And then just gradually as a part of your sort of civilization, quote unquote, you become more and more what that woman expects you to be. And so you're no longer the beast anymore. And maybe there's sort of this sort of come to Jesus moment where you're like healed of your ailments, or you're sort of resolving your unresolved issues or whatever it is. It's a girl's world, right? I don't know what your vernacular is, ladies. But But then, as I said before, Belle marries the prince. She falls in love with the beast, but he becomes the prince and is no longer the beast at the end of the movie. And that's one thing that Jordan Peterson always conveniently leaves out of that diatribe. I've heard him tell that story several times. But again, it's going from hero to zero. And it's usually because guys allow that to happen. Now, if you have read my first book, I have an essay and a chapter in there, and it's called Dream Killers. And yes, I lifted that line, shamelessly lifted that line from Tom Likas, right? Women are dream killers. But I added a little bit more to it, and I fleshed it out a little bit more than Tom did. And what I meant by that is that women are dream killers, but not because they're doing it maliciously. They're doing it because it's meant to be like, women will kill men's dreams because they want that security. They want that insurance of security, which, by the way, is what Scott Galloway was talking about in those videos, more or less. To do the sure thing, do the secure thing. You're probably not going to be Michael Jordan. How are you going to know if you don't do it? I will tell you this, is like, I can remember like when I was sort of in my rock star 20s, and I was just like, I don't care. There was a point where I just simply gave up trying to make anybody proud of me, like my dad or anyone else. I'm just like, if I'm proud of me, then that's all that fucking matters, right? And so I did that, and then really I didn't really kind of come into my own until I was like in my mid 40s. I mean, I published The Rational Male when I was like 45. And so to say, give up on your dreams and don't follow your passions or whatever, like, fuck you, Scott Galloway. Simply fuck you. Because I think what we need now is we need dangerous men. We don't need fucking safe men anymore. I brought this up with, I think it was Hillary Crowder of all people, was like, well, we need safe men who we can trust and who can be there for us. And all I always heard ringing in my ears was the words of Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, which is like, safe sex, safe ozone, safe this, safe that. Fuck it. It's too fucking late. Okay. Nobody's safe. In fact, the way we got to where we're at in civilization right now was from men being unsafe, from men going and doing dangerous things in spite of themselves and in spite of women and in spite of a gynocentric social order that would tell you, do the safe thing, find the thing that has a 90% success rate. No, fuck off. I'm sick of this shit. I'm absolutely sick of this. I got into it one time with Sneeko, who is, I am so glad to see getting a fucking spanking now and then, and Fresh. Bravo for you, my friend. Thank you. Wait, no, Fresh, this is for you.
God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not. Sneeko, definitely not. I'm sick to death of listening to this bullshit. And God forbid, like when I look, that's not the one I wanted. Where's the thing? Did I put it up here? Oh, wait. I gotta throw this one out here because this was too good not to include in today's show. Is this the one? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So this was Sneeko. Now Sneeko's fallen off, dude. I'm sorry to say. I stayed out of, maybe I shouldn't have, but I tried my best to stay out of the bullshit with Sneeko and Destiny and Nick Fuentes and all the rest of these guys who Fresh and Fit platformed, including Pearl, by the way, too. And I voiced my displeasure about that too, because this was coming from Myron, who told me from the very beginning that Pearl was a snake, and he was right from the very beginning. And I don't know why you're playing, pussyfooting around with this dumb bitch, but whatever. Anyway, so just recently, Fresh has had it with Sneeko, man. If you piss off Fresh, you must have really fucked up, because Fresh is like one of the most friendly, one of the most nicest guys I've ever known. But you piss him off, man, and you get it. But now, we've got Sneeko talking about how the red pill is gay and Jewish. Bravo. Who hasn't said that? Well, you haven't said that already. As I said, we're ramping up the rhetoric and the red meat, and it's just going to keep going and amplifying. They're just ramping it up. We're already at the point where we're cooking dogs and cats. Okay. So let's just, let's call a spade here. But like, I was looking at this, and this is Sneeko popping off like white supremacists are totally right. This goes against the core fundamentals of Islam. God did not, in fact, choose any race as supreme. And if you believe so, you're Jewish. Really, Sneeko? Like, we got to throw that one in there. Like, here. And you're probably Jewish too, right? Like anybody you don't like, just call them. Like I get called Jewish all the time. I'm not Jewish. All I did was piss off Nick Fuentes one time, and now I'm Jewish. So I guess I need to get rid of this beanie and get a yarmulke now, so I can like me and Ben Shapiro can pal around or whatever the hell. But I love this part right here. Then Andrew Tate, I stopped talking to you years ago for a reason. Oh man! Now, as I said, I'm kind of Tate agnostic these days, but that was pretty fucking funny. Oh yeah. I think he knew. I think he knew something back then. What you got?
$100 super chat.
Woo! Hold on. Wait a minute. There you go. So many women will drop their panties for a tatted up felon with neck tattoos and a motorcycle while making nice guys wait for weeks. She gave away in one night to the biker. Why do all of them say, I want a nice guy, knowing both men are driven by the same impulses? Yeah, well, I'll tell you why. Because women, the short answer, would you like the short answer? Here's the short answer. The short answer is this, is they have everything done for them. As Scott Galloway says, as that other chick, I don't even know who that kind of fat Asian looking girl. You called her fat. Women they're more empowered right now. They're more educated right now, or at least college educated wise. Are they really educated? I don't know, but still they're going to school. They're enrolling and graduating more than men are. They're getting more diplomas than men are. Let's just put it that way. I think we need to clarify that, because I want to tell you this right now is like, whenever somebody says, well, they're more educated than men. No, they're really not. At least not the ones that, not even the college educated women that I know are moderately more educated than the average guy. Okay. But does college actually give that? I don't know. What are you going to do with it? But they do enroll more than men, and they do graduate at greater rates than men, and they get different, like they get higher, and they get higher postgraduate degrees than men right now. So we can definitely use those stats. Money wise, women are more financially stable. They're buying more houses. They're making more major purchases right now. Are they good at saving money, investing money? Depends on the sector and depends on the niche. I would probably need to get my actuary friend in here. His name is Aaron Clary, who is not homosexual. But so we have all the, it's yay women, let's wave the banner and everything, right? But at the same time, it's become a zero-sum game, and I don't care what Richard Reeves or Scott Galloway or anybody else has to say. If you are going to empower women and you want to bring men back to parity, then you're going to have to disempower. You're going to have to actively disadvantage women if you want to bring men up. Sorry, that's how we did it for women back in the 70s, and that's what you're going to have to resort to eventually at some point. You're going to have to give special dispensation to men specifically, and we're never going to do that. No one has the will to do that. So I don't even know why we even have this conversation, but I will tell you this, that it is a zero-sum game, and there's no way getting around that. You know why? Because nature made it a zero-sum game. We're just talking like this chick who was just saying, well, nature made it so like we evolved women, whatever you want to talk. Nature made it so that women don't want to get with the guy who is economically, unattractive. I thought it was about love, ladies. I thought it was about feeling. It's economics now, because I need to know these things so I can tell my boys what to focus on, because if it's love, then we really should probably talk about that. But apparently it's not. Apparently you can be a gold digger today and be just right up front with it. In fact, the difference between a gold digger and just an average woman is the gold digger at least is honest about it, and she's more upfront and she's more vocal about it. And all the other women are around her going, keep it down. I know we're doing this, but just keep it fucking down, okay? I don't want everybody to know. We got to keep some of these guys dumb before they hit 30, before they hit their stride. But it's because women have already taken, if we're good, okay, here we go again. Alpha fucks and beta bucks, all right? If you're going to talk about the short-term sexual, the breeding, the arousal side of things, or you're going to talk about the long-term security side of women's dualistic sexual strategy, the dual mating strategy, registered trademark, Rollo Tomasi 2024, the idea is that if we're going to talk about socioeconomics, if you're going to talk about the economically unattractive men are unattractive from the beta buck side. Okay. Because women will fuck a poor guy just like that. If he looks like Henry Cavill, they'll fuck it. He looks like, Liam Hemsworth or what, Chris Hemsworth, or, who's Captain America? Chris Evans. Chris Evans. Yeah. Jason Momoa. I'm trying to use some different celebrities instead of Jason Momoa. I know I keep overusing that with Justin Waller, but they want to fuck Justin Waller. You don't give two flying fucks whether he's economically attractive or he is economically attractive, but like you don't care about that because you don't care about getting with the bad boy. I hate to use Tinder swindler over and over and over again, but I did in the first clip, so I might as well hit it again. There's a reason why those older and all the women in Tinder swindler were 30 plus. In some cases, I think 33 plus. I think the youngest one was 33 because they have money. Because what do? They spend all their time educating themselves, getting the bag, being an empowered woman and everything. And along comes a Tinder swindler and sees that as a leverage point. It's easy. I can get this bitch, no problem. And has done so and is still continuing to do so. I just want to point that out, ladies. He's still at large. He's in the wind. He's teaching classes. He's teaching other men how to do exactly what he's doing, right? Because it's a reliable formula. It works.
It's replicable.
Yes, it's replicable. Yes. Yeah. There's not a lot of psychological studies that are replicable, but that methodology is most definitely replicable. So much so that one bitch took out 9 different banks from.
Jesus.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that one meme? There's this one meme where he's like sitting there with this it's Simon Leviev with a cigar, and he's like, if a woman really loves you, she'll take out multiple bank accounts for you. That's love. Is it a dirty trick? In this case, yes. Yes, it is. But the reason why is because there's still that emotional side, because when you're looking at the alpha fuck side, that's the validational sex. That's the sex women want to have. And they want to have it with a hot guy. It doesn't matter if that guy lives in a fucking cardboard box. If that guy is hot and he smiles and he's charming and he's congruent and he can make her laugh a little bit, and he's a good dancer. I don't know, whatever the fuck, he dickmatizes you. It doesn't matter if the guy's fucking dead ass broke. She's gonna fuck the guy. And it has nothing to do with financial or being economically attractive. It's like, yeah, he's hot and she wants to fuck him. That's how this works. That's the other half of the dual mating strategy equation, which we're trying to balance out here. And so when you look at the advice of guys like Scott Galloway, Richard Reeves, Jordan Peterson, and everything, they never, ever, and never will, because they're guys that don't fuck, right? But they're never going to be able to tell you the more unflattering side of female nature, because it goes against their brand first. But like, second of all, I would say it's not even so much of their brand. They just don't have any frame of reference. They don't know any different. They've never had a woman they've never been at a concert and had women like drag them into the female bathroom and give a guy head, allegedly. But they never had anything like that. So of course, their only frame of reference is transactional sex. It's never been about validational sex. So from a transactional sex perspective, they don't understand, or they have to they got to come up with some way to sort of square the circle of why do women want to get with bad boys? Well, they're damaged. They're young and they're naive. Their prefrontal cortex hasn't completely developed yet, right? I'm pretty sure at 33, the chicks that were in Tinder Swindler, their prefrontal cortexes were as mature as they were going to get at that time. So just keep that shit in mind when you're listening to someone like Scott Galloway, and especially when he tells you to give up on your dreams, like you. Yeah. Like, Scott, let me tell you something. Let me ask you something. When did you know that your dream to become some influencer after having been a marketing expert and being some sort of, I don't know, money guy, whatever the hell he is? How did you know that you wanted to get into being a podcast, e-celebrity? Shouldn't you have just stayed in your fucking lane a little bit longer? My youngest daughters are in first grade. Oh, congratulations. Their current teacher is the only male teacher in the entire school. I met with him. He described it as hell on earth. Our kids are being indoctrinated on the deepest level. Yeah, you're goddamn right. Mm-hmm. just a side note here, Chris. I wrote about this in my third book, which is Positive Masculinity, because I had so many guys. It's funny. I write books. I write sequels to like The Rational Male because there's such a demand for explanations within the framework of the first book. And so like I had a whole bunch of people asking me, Rollo, when should I give my son your book? Because I don't want him to make the mistakes that I made with his mother or with his career or with his girlfriends or getting a disease or whatever the fuck, making these decisions, right? And I always thought, is he a reader? Because most teenage boys are like, yeah, fuck you, Dad, I'm out. But I understand. Well, at the time, I understood the desire to have some sort of like, I don't know, maybe some stripped down version. Some maybe you should just go read what is it? The Unplugged Alpha, which is basically the footnotes for The Rational Male, anyways. But the sort of a stripped down version for like teenage guys, and I don't know, maybe I'll write that at some point. But it's just to sort of give guys like young men a preparation. But then, of course, there's guys who have daughters. I have a daughter, right? So what do you tell them? Well, I wrote about all of this stuff in my third book, Positive Masculinity. In fact, the first probably like 2/3 of that book is dedicated to red pill parenting. So just a side note here, available on Amazon today. Go get it now. Telephone operators are standing by. I think I got to you already. So yeah, there you go. There it is. Did Belle tame the beast or did the beast tame Belle? Well, put it this way. Belle was a housewife and she never turned into a hoe in that. And maybe see, that's the funny thing is like, well, I'm glad you brought this up because what they don't tell you about that scenario, like in the real life, is that the beast actually fucking like bends over Belle and like rides her to glory regularly and dickmatizes her. So, because that's really what the visceral, raw animal magnetism of the beast really represents, which is just like put your foot on her head and ride her from the rear kind of. I'm only bringing that up because one of these chicks on Access Vegas said Sterling Cooper did that too. I was like, oh, man, I got to get him back in. Well, because Sterling's kind of like disavowed the whole pornography. He was a porn actor for a long time, right? And now he's kind of disowning the whole thing, which I kind of understand for this year. It makes me wonder what, like, once we get past the election cycle, if he won't sort of re-embrace that stuff again. Well, you know what? I really felt bad about that. The beast and bad boy are just women projecting their true nature. As we've seen the 70s, and the untamed woman will tear down society. True, but here's the other thing is, and this is the reason why I put that other clip in there, is if you remember, I think it was like the second clip I put in, the guy talking about how the stepfather is the man that woman would never have dated had she not had kids. Like, that's what the qualifier, the only reason that guy would be attractive to that woman in any other scenario is because she already has a kid and she needs a man with benefits. She needs a guy who is going to, I don't need a stepdad, I need a dad who steps up, right? No, you fucked the beast and you had the beast's children, but the beast didn't turn into a prince for you. And so therefore what happens is, you now are stuck with a little beast and you need to find a prince. So that's the funny thing is, like, if you look at the two archetypes right there, there's the bad boy and then there's the kind of nice guy. And I'm using that just as abstract terms. Okay. I'm not saying, oh, he's a nice guy. Oh, it's okay to be nice. No, not in this way. It's not. So it's not, you're a man with benefits. You're the guy who she would never have dated had she not had babies with the beast. Okay. So if she has the babies and she needs the guy with benefits, that guy is the prince. And in this case, the beast and the prince are two different dudes, because the beast actually never turns back. He never turns into the prince. You might say, oh, I tried to civilize, the whole scenario of Belle trying to civilize the beast is modern women today trying to lock down the alpha male that was never going to be locked down, because that beast, that alpha guy that she's trying to lock down, has so many fucking options. Like, why would he get with Belle? He can fuck all the other townswomen he wants to, right? Even Gaston gets pussy, right? Gaston gets pussy. The beast could be getting pussy if he wasn't some pensive, self-loathing incel. Technically, that's what the beast was. Yeah. He was an incel. He didn't get out. So he didn't get out much, right? I mean, he didn't leave the fucking castle, and everybody was scared of him. Yeah, why? Because he'd probably kill you. Because he's an incel. Because he's sitting there pensive and brooding and staring at the fucking floor, and I really hate life. Oh, that bitch put my soul in a rose and under some glass. And, oh, what the fuck was I thinking? Like. The beast is technically in the Disney character thing is definitely an incel. This kidnaps Belle's dad. Would Gaston do that? I don't think so. Gaston would give two shits about that, because Gaston has options. Gaston fucks. He's got a hairy chest. Hair on my chest. But yeah, Gaston fucks. Why would you? In fact, I don't think Gaston was all that put out when Belle kind of rejected him. Like, okay, well, you don't want this? This guy. I got all these other wenches over here with lots of beer steins. Show up naked and bring beer. Gaston. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, what did you say, Chris? Chris says they're not educated, they're indoctrinated. Yeah, there's a difference. Makes me wonder sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying all. I hate to like make generalizations like this, because I'm not saying like all women are dumb. They're not, obviously. Some are smarter than others. Okay, just like there's some men that are smarter than others too, right? But I think we have sort of convinced women that the key to success is taking out multiple student loans and getting, I don't know, government grants or Title IX or whatever the special dispensation is right now, and essentially putting themselves, like deliberately putting themselves in debt, because they think that putting themselves in student debt is the key to success. If you're going to school for the sake of education, ladies, here, this is for you. Like, if you're going to school for the sake of like, I want to be an educated individual, that's a noble cause. You say that might even be something you want to take a loan out for. But if you're going there and saying, I need this diploma because then I'll be an empowered woman and I won't be dependent, like I'll be an strong, independent woman, registered trademark. And I won't have to be dependent on men if I have this diploma, and then I can work in HR, and then I can make $46,000 a year, or I can get into communications or whatever. Like if you look at like all of the category, all the different like niches that women get into when it comes to education, it's communication, it's psychology, it's sociology, it's anything that has to do with people, human resources, all that kind of communications, journalism, that kind of stuff. It is sectors of society that deal with people. As Dr. Steven Pinker has said on multiple occasions, to like at his own risk, is men tend to be more interested in things and women tend to be more interested in people. And that is reflected in the choices that they make for careers and the choices that they make for their college majors. So although women may be enrolling and graduating at higher rates than men do, what are they graduating in? Soft sciences, sociology, anthropology, maybe anthropology too. Although I wouldn't really call that a soft science. Sociology, psychology, communications, anything that's in the humanities, women's studies. Which, by the way, I love it when people say, "Oh yeah, they're studying feminist psychology or philosophy." No, that's called women's studies. I know. I actually had to take those classes when I was at UNR. So because first of all, because I put my money where my mouth is. Because you must understand the bug if you want to kill the bug. We must understand the bug. So I'll tell you what's funny is I just a quick aside. This is a story from my college days. And remember, my college days were in my early 30s. All right. So I'm going to college and I am working full time. I'm also playing in a band at the same time, too. And so I'm going to basically night classes and summer school. I did not take a single semester off when I didn't take a summer off or anything like that. My vacations consisted of the week or two in between summer and fall and spring break. That's how I know everything about spring break, you sons of bitches. But I had to take, there was 2 classes that I had to take that I thought were really, I wrote about this too back in the day. One of them was women's studies. It was women in literature. And that's how I read Emily Bronte, and I read like Pride and Prejudice, and I read all of these sort of old, that's how I know I have read romance novels. Yes, this guy has read romance novels, but I read it because it was teaching about the formula and about sort of the underlying psychology of romance novels. Like why does this formula is the most popular media formula for women? Why is that? Right. And of course they want to say, well, it's because women have been conditioned and society makes them think. No. That's all downstream from women's biology and their innate evolved psychology. Right. So I took women in literature, which actually was a pretty eye-opening class considering I had to get in. I was one of 2 guys there were 2 males in this class. All the rest were women. And the other guy was gay. I shit you not. I was the only heterosexual male in that class. And I had to do the writing assignments. I did everything. I did what I said. And the reason why I took that is because it covered the requisites for a capstone class, a humanities class, and a diversity thing. So all of those requirements were made up in one single class. And it was like a 4-unit class, right? So I didn't have to go to 3 different classes to get each of those particular units. I got all of them. I did one go. And so it was just pragmatic. It was efficient for me to go and do that. And it happened to be something I was not necessarily super interested in it, but I got interested as I did that. There was only one other class that, by the way, so there's only one other class that met those same requirements, like a capstone. It was a capstone, humanities, diversity, and there was something else I can't remember. It covered like 4 different like prerequisites for your graduation, and this is like for general education. This had nothing to do with my major, like psychology, and I have a BFA too, right? So I took this class, and I because it fit my schedule. But there was one other class that met all of those same requirements, and that was Holocaust studies. I shit you not. So they will equate women's literature with the Holocaust. That's how important it is. That's and by the way, this is like back in the mid 2000s, like 2002, 2003. This is not like modern times where we're out right now. Where it's an indoctrination camp. No, it was an indoctrination camp way back in the early 2000s. So let's not pretend like this is some new development. They've been doing this for a long time. But yeah, Holocaust studies and women's literature or women's studies, the same. Unbelievable. Rollo, I get your stance on praxeology, but doesn't it assume that the progress of the new order framework is inevitable? I don't know what you think the new order framework is. What is that? Okay, so let's see if I can parse this out, because I'm not really sure what you're talking about here. But like, as far as like my stance on praxeology. Okay, so I think you're talking about 2 different things here. One is praxeology is sort of like the science, or the loose science, of understanding behavior, human behavior in this case. You can actually apply praxeology to other things, but in our definition here, human behavior about intersexual dynamics, right? In that behavior has a specific function. There is some motivating factor, right? Every behavior has a function. The reason why I was kind of drawn to the term praxeology is because that's what I studied when I was in my degree in psychology is primarily in behaviorism, because there was no like program for evolutionary psychology at the time. It wasn't as developed as it is now. So I took the stance that if I wanted to learn psychology, I got to go with the most nuts and bolts version of it. And at that time, it was behaviorism, right? And so one of the primary tenets of behaviorism is that you cannot determine motivation by any other factor than behavior. How are people behaving? What are they doing? Right. That's why when people have a real tough time with like self-reports, it's like people can report and say, well, did you feel attracted to your husband today? Well, yeah, I guess kind of. Are you on the rag? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's write that down. Right. And by the way, let me just point out for the record here, because somebody like wanted to throw rocks at me for this. If you're doing surveys, there's qualitative surveys and there's quantitative surveys. Okay. So quantitative survey, what did you eat for lunch today? Okay. Well, a ham sandwich, right? Okay. Well, ham sandwich. Right. And then you can go, well, how do you feel about your husband today? That's a qualitative survey. Got it? Good. Because some other dumb sons of bitches can't seem to like wrap their head around that fucking concept. So anyways, but as far as praxeology is concerned, praxeology, and yes, I know that praxeology also refers to what Mises economics. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I understand that there is a economics thing, but economics context is also praxeology. The praxeology is actually a Greek term. It is the study of behavior. In economics, it's whatever the economics is, right? In our variety, in our flavor, it's about intersexual dynamics. That's all it is. That's all the red pill is, and it's all it should be. But people want to turn it into an ideology. They want to turn it to philosophy. It's a movement. It's a religion. It's a cult. It's their bias. It's whatever the fuck it is. No, it's not. And the reason why, in its purest, most idealistic form, and I understand, and here's the thing, that praxeology, the concept of it, or let's just say the sort of the operative of it, also includes the fact that human beings have explicit and implicit biases. So even when I'm like throwing out stats and figures and things like that, I'm not doing it because I think, oh, well, let's see if we can get a dig in at the little ladies again. Ha ha ha. That's not what it's about. I'm just like, I point, what's interesting is like, I can point those things out and I can interpret that data however I want, but the praxeology is still the same. It's the data. It's here's what it is. The very fact that I'm showing it to somebody is the act of showing it, the behavior of showing it to somebody. It means that there has to be some sort of implied meaning to it, right? Well, you're only showing this to me because you're trying to convince me that women are this way or men are this way or whatever, right? And it's like, no, the in its purest sense, in its most idealistic sense, the red pill is a praxeology that should, although it's imperfect, should be devoid of any kind of bias or exceptionalism of some sort, right? Now, is that possible? No, because we're human beings and we're still going to be interested in what we're going to be interested in. So you could also say, well, the only reason you're interested in the stats is because you have an implicit bias. Okay. Well, judging from that and including that into the sort of the equation, here's the stats. What do you think? Let's interpret this. And so what happens is usually people don't have a problem with the data that I put out. They have a problem with the interpretation or what they believe is my interpretation of it. So if we're going to talk about like what is the new order or whatever, I forget what you're talking about there, like the new the new order of things, or things are like, was it predestination, right? Or things are determinism, right? Well, doesn't praxeology mean determinism? No, it doesn't. It just means here's the fucking data. Determinism is how you interpret that data, but the data itself is still a praxeology. This is how it looks. These are the stats, and this is here. Now let's draw some correlates from it. Now let's go and interpret this data. The praxeology of the red pill, I don't think too many people have a problem with it. What they have a problem with is me connecting the dots that they don't really like. So, and usually that goes against what's known as the women are wonderful concept. And I wanted to sort of dig into that today too, because I can't talk about how women are drawn to bad boys without talking about the women are wonderful phenomenon. Which goes something like this, is that women, studies and data sets and anything that is sort of an empirical truth that is in any way unflattering to female nature is always seen as suspicious. It's always seen as and if it's not, and if it is true, then they have to find some sort of qualifier to balance it out. And I have a thing here. I'm gonna run down a few of these things. I wanted to I guess I'll show you this. I can screen share this, can I? Yeah. This is my female nature folder here. And what I do in this is I let's see if I just put this up like that. There we go. All right. So this is welcome to my Twitter feed. So this is my female nature folder here. And so I'm just going to run through a few of these. Rolf Dangen, I got a lot of Rob Henderson in here because these guys are the guys that sort of quote a lot of these studies. Now, I think what's funny to me is like if I had some sort of like implicit bias as to like what I'm going to show and what I'm not going to show, then you're going to have to go to Rob Henderson and Rolf and Steve Stewart Williams and Steven Pinker and the rest of these guys first. Because all I'm doing is just like reposting most of what these guys are saying here, right? Oh, this was really good. Women who are kidnapped often develop loyalties to the groups that captured them. For example, early American settlers who were often shocked to discover women of European origin living in Native American tribes who were not interested in being rescued. Now, I've said this since as far back as like 2004, 2005, right? I've called this the war brides dynamic. And you can see this play out in a lot of different scenarios. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the early American settlers, although that's a prime example. I've used in the past. I've used the women of like say Vichy France, right? The Vichy French. If you don't know what that means, is that they're the traitors, right? They are the men and the women who sided with the Germans during World War II. And women who would sleep with German officers or German soldiers. Of course, once the war was over and Germany had been defeated, then, well, they shot all the men, but they would shave the heads of the women who sort of were collaborators with the enemy. They're literally sleeping with the enemy. And they did similar things in Belgium and in Holland and in other countries as well. So if women were motivated sort of by their hypergamy and to the point where their loyalties to their tribe, meaning their nationality in this case, were sort of superseded by their natural impulses, well, then they were punished for those things, right? But the thing is that the dynamic, like that was just the results. The dynamic is still there. Women tend to have what's known as a Stockholm syndrome, meaning that they fall in love with their captors. Very similar to hybristophilia, right? So we know that when I say all women are not hybristophiles, but only women are hybristophiles, it also comes back to stuff like this. Now I'm making what have I just done? What I've done is I've taken a data set here, and I have interpreted that data, and I have related it to other things. So what have I done right now? I've taken this data point here from Rob Henderson, and I have related it to other incidents. I can relate it to the Tinder swindler too. I can relate it to hybristophiles, to the Wade Williams, the Deadpool guy, right? I mean, because it's based in the same dynamic. Why do women want to fall in love with their captors? I mean, you can see this happen even in biblical times, like in the Old Testament. Was it like go in, kill off all the menfolk, kill off all the boys, kill off all the women who have known a man, and take the women, the virgin women, preferably virgin women, as spoils of war, so that you can integrate them into your tribe, and then you can expand and create more babies that believe in the God of Abraham, right? And so it's brutal and it's tough, but it also has other correlates, such as let's see, where did it go? Here we go. Overall, male bonobos turned out to be about 3 times as likely as chimps to engage. Now, these are bonobos, right? Bonobos are supposed to be the peaceniks of the primate world, right? They're supposed to be, they go to Burning Man, right? Hey, let's just fuck everybody, right? No, these are bonobos, okay? Bonobos are 3 times as likely as chimps to engage in aggressive behavior. So much for sex at dawn. Their aggression didn't appear to be a turnoff for female bonobos who actually preferred to mate with aggressive males. Thank you. I'll see you later. Try the veal. So here's another correlate. Primates being our closest relatives, right? You can decide whether that's your shtick or not. Being our closest relatives, The females still want to get with the Wade Wilsons. Oh, it's Wade Wilson bonobo. Let's get with this guy because he's a badass, man. 4,000 of us would like to get 4,000 other female bonobos would like to get with the Wade Wilson bonobo, even though he's behind bars and is probably going to get the death penalty. He will get the death penalty. But they're not hippies. They're not peaceniks. Why? Well, because it makes sense. Evolutionarily speaking, that is pragmatic. It's efficient. Oh, but we're put off by that. But if I say, well, women don't want to get with guys who are economically unattractive, we don't have a problem with that, but we do have a problem with this. It's the nature of the beast. It's how the machine works. But people don't want to hear that. That's why I keep saying, like, when I get asked these questions about, oh, what about love? What about love? Does it exist? Yeah, of course it does. Can it be great? Yes, it's fantastic. I'm in love myself. It's awesome every day. But I also understand the functionality of it too. In fact, I probably can appreciate my situation and my love for my wife more because I understand the functionality of it. So it's like live a better life through, understanding male and female nature. I will guarantee you this: if you have a very good, firm understanding of your nature as a man and your wife's nature as a woman and the confluence that between those two, the intersexual dynamics between, if you are aware of that, you are in a much stronger position to have a much healthier relationship and a longer lasting marriage than if you didn't. That's really the gist of well, at least what I'd talk about anyways, but the red pill, right? Oh, this is great. Here, put this on. Oh yeah. Okay. Am I on? Yeah, I got that. Okay. The gorilla father who fails to keep infants safe should an outsider the gorilla father who fails to keep infants safe. Should an outsider charge into his group and kill an infant there, he loses future opportunities to mate with the mother. Mothers whose infants are killed often desert the hapless defender and follow the killer instead. Really? I don't make the rules, man. I just report the news. I just work here. So, God, this was great. People gave me grief for this on Twitter recently, and I think this that it's Danish men that are doing this is crazy to me. But here we go. Oh, what is it? Oh, this is even better. Okay, pornography featuring violence against women is also extremely popular amongst women. It is far more popular amongst women than with men. I hate saying this because misogynists seem to love this fact. We don't love the fact. We're just it is what it is, right? What did that chick say about being being economically attractive? It just is what it is. Well, guess what, ladies? The fact that you like violent porn, it just is what it is. Fantasy life isn't always politically correct. Yes, but there's a reason for the fantasy. There's a reason 4,000 women responded and wanted to bang Wade Wilson, the Deadpool killer. There's a reason why what Simon Levieve's Tinder Swindler was so believable, because women want to believe. They want to believe that they can, if Wade Wilson is the beast, they want to believe that they can transform the beast into the prince and that they're going to live happily ever after. And I will tell you this right now, ladies, you will not transform. You know what will transform Wade Wilson? The electric chair. That is what's going to transform him. Okay. This was great. Danish sperm now makes up a third of the total used in the UK. Women cite the Danes' blonde, good looks, and dependable nature. Full screen. Give me those bicep cam right now. Ladies, get your Danish sperm. Women cite Dane's blonde, good looks and dependable nature. 2014 through. They invaded us once by boat, and now they're doing the same with sperm. Why hundreds of British women are giving birth to Viking babies. Yes. Conceived with Danish donors. Well, they're owners too, right? Danish sperm now makes up a third of the total used in the UK. Women cite Dane's blonde good looks and dependable nature. Well, and the fact that they used to go on, I don't know, raiding parties through your country back in the day. Famously handsome Danes include Nikolai Koster-Wadu. I don't know who that dude is. Capital Copenhagen is the home to huge sperm banks. Sperm is now one of Denmark's top exports, along with beer and Legos.
Beer and Legos.
Yes, we win again. Now, why am I bringing this up? Okay, well, so here's the thing is, again, you're talking about the bad boys, and get into this once again. I got ran up the flagpole for this because I talked about this. I've actually put out a video on this. There's a video clip that I have on my Instagram, and it's also, you can, if you want to see it, it's on my Instagram and it's on my my Twitter feed right now because I reposted both. But I did this clip, and on Thursday, I was talking about that show on Netflix. Is it 1,000 Children or something like that?
1,000 Children?
Is it called 1,000 Children?
Let me see.
Father of 1,000 Children?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it was about a sperm donor and how.
Yep, 1,000 kids.
1,000 kids. Okay, that was it. 1,000 kids.
It's a documentary.
Yeah, and so I was talking about this, and I said, you know, it's getting to the point like where it's becoming more and more obvious what women actually select for when it comes to their own reproduction. So if women want to have electively want to have a baby through like fertility clinic or a sperm bank or from a free agent, a free agent donor, such as the guy that's in the documentary. And by the way, he's one of probably several. The reason why you know what? I gotta show this. I gotta show this to you. Hold on a second.
His name is Jonathan Mearser.
Yeah, hold on. Let me stop sharing this real quick because I have to show you guys this. So, anyways, let me give you the build up here. The guy basically goes and I don't know if it's like some kind of app or something like that, but like for women, and sometimes it's lesbian couples, sometimes it's just women who want to have babies, right? I presume they have to sign some sort of waiver that says, hey, I'm going to fuck you or you're going to use my sperm, but I am free and clear of any financial obligations for this kid. So like you have the kid, it's my baby. You can have my sperm. You can have a baby with my sperm. Vaya con Dios, right? And so then then the women can check an option. They can either have the dude like rub one out into a jar and they can like use the turkey baster kind of, what was it? The new mom turkey baster thing? Yeah, whatever. There's that, you know, I showed it on the show. Or we can do it the old fashioned way, which is I can just ride you to glory. What would you prefer, ladies? And of course, 90% of like, just fuck me. But the guy basically shows up, drives to where he has to go, either has the sample ready to go or he's ready to go. and that's how it works out, right? And so we're getting to the point right now where in certain countries, I would presume the UK is one of them, as a result of the fact, now this is me making my own call here. I'm not saying, but this is the dots that I'm connecting is that I would argue that the reason why this is going on more and more frequently now, 1,000 kids, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why this is going on more frequently is because women can't find the one. They can't find the guy who's the best of all worlds because they won't settle for anything less. But they still have to deal with the physiological realities of the fact that they're not getting any younger and they're going to get into menopause and they're going to either have to freeze their eggs or they're going to be childless. And because they can't find any guy who is economically attractive, or they can't find a guy who will do everything they say, or isn't like they don't want to settle for anything less than the best, according to whatever feminist ideology has convinced them of. Now they have to resort to sperm donors, whether that's a sperm bank or whatever. Now, who are they choosing? They're not choosing intellectuals. They're not choosing the fat guy with a PhD in astrophysics. They're picking this dude that's in the fucking documentary, who, by the way, is not a PhD in astrophysics. Okay, he's a good-looking kid, right? I mean, he's got to be like late 20s, I think.
I can find out.
Yeah, but they're not looking for the guy who is sort of the pudgy lawyer who makes, you know, six-figure income. They're not looking for. They don't choose based on intelligence. They choose based on looks. They look at the guy. They say, "Yeah, I want my babies to look like that." It's not about any other factor. And that's, again, that goes back to why do women pick bad boys? Because those are the guys that they want to fuck. Those are the guys. How old is he? Did you get the age?
It doesn't say his age, but he was banned from from distributing out.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, well, and the reason why is because there's the risk of inbreeding. And I mentioned this on Access Vegas when I was talking about this, and the clip, you'll see the clip on the.
It says he's 43.
43. Okay, well, bravo. The guy is donating sperm to the point where he's got to be regulated as a free agent sperm donor because, and I don't know how much money the dude makes, but as a free agent sperm donor, he's making enough money that they're making a documentary on the guy. So how are women choosing the father of their baby if they're not? And remember, women have to do this consciously, cognitively, understanding that guy is not going to be in any way financially obligated to that kid and is not going to live with that kid, and that kid is probably never going to know who his dad is. I mean, ideally, anyway, maybe the kid will want to know sooner or later. But imagine this. Imagine you're brought up by a single mother and you don't know who your dad is. You don't have any masculine role model, but then you find out later, well, dad is also the father of 1,000 other. I have 1,000 other half brothers and half sisters out there. And now you are run the risk, especially in those particular, in the concentration of those countries, right, of inbreeding as a result of that. And so that's why they have to regulate this, and that's why it's starting to become a concern. Or if the guy has a genetic disease, then he passes it on to 1,000 other people, and they pass that on to the next generation as well. So as a result of what? As a result of women not able to get past themselves and saying, oh, I got to settle for this guy, or I want to fuck this guy, or I don't want. They want that one dude. And it's usually guys, these guys, like this guy is one representative of one of like a handful of other guys that get picked over and over and over and over again. Why? Why are they getting picked? Because they're good looking dudes. Because they have, it's not because they have it's not their economic attractiveness. It's their physical attractiveness. And it can only be that because those women aren't getting with that guy, making that sort of logical connection because they have no plans, no long-term, there is no long-term plan for them to be living with that guy. So it's clearly not about trading up and mate switching and being, getting a better socioeconomic status. It's about who do I want to have, whose babies do I want to have? And overwhelmingly enough to the point where they're making a documentary about this, it's this guy. What is it? What is it about this guy? What is his character? And it has to be physical characteristics. It's not that they don't know him from fucking Adam. They didn't go and have like long walks on the beach and get to know each other. They didn't go fucking to dinner, like 10 different dinners. They didn't go to fucking see movies. You didn't take them home to mom or anything like that and learn, I like puppy dogs and I have this good sense of humor and all this stuff. None of that. Is he hot or is he not? Does he look physically like somebody that I will want my son or my daughter to look like? That's all it is. And enough of these women are doing this to the point where it has to be regulated because they're worried about inbreeding. Now, one smart son of a bitch figured this out. Let's see if I think is it this guy?
My new girlfriend to the bar and she knew every guy there.
That's not this one. Hold on a second. Let me grab the other one. One guy. Shit, I had one chance to do this right. Is it this? Is it this guy?
Very, 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 very last option if you want to get yourself out of a drought and you can't get any buns. I wouldn't even recommend this. Head over to Facebook and find a group like this. A lot of people struggle getting prego and they need a donor. They also have groups like this on Reddit, on Google. You can find these a lot everywhere. So to actually get in, you just have to enter a little bit of information. Right here where it says which methods would you prefer, you want to select natural insemination. That's basically saying if you want my baby, we got to make it the right way. We're not inserting tubes or none of that. Now here is where you want to outsmart these bots. You want to go ahead and get yourself a vasectomy. Don't worry, it's reversible. So you're going to go on a crazy run of just having people think that you're going to bless them with a child. And then like every 2 weeks, they're going to tell you that it didn't work. So they're going to come back and ask for more. So you can have a whole roster, a whole entire schedule of you just doing this. And these girls will fly you out. Like these girls are desperate to have a child. Most of the time too, it'd be lesbian couples. And oh my God, the studs, man. The studs are taking over 2024. Check out my exclusive content for my in-game footage of me on the court, my highlights. But after you're done going on a 10-year run, a 12-year run, whatever you want, You want to go ahead and reverse the vasectomy. It's a little expensive, but you will have the money by then. I would rather you guys just stick with the registered offenders, bro, because this is kind of fucked up, and it's really down bad. Like, this is bottom of the barrel. If you're really going to do this, I will take down all your social media and just go ghost until you're done doing this.
So that's the play. If you're down bad, if you want to end your slump busting, if you want to end your dry spell, just become a sperm donor and make sure it's a natural insemination. Oh Jesus, man. Yeah. So at least he understands. But like, ladies, and I tell you, the thing that's funny is like the thing that gets me is like there's enough women that keep choosing the same dudes. That's why the 1,000 Kids documentary was what it was because those guys kept getting chosen over and over and over again. You know, that's how you game the system. Yes, that's how you game the system right there. Yeah, I kind of do, don't I? Oh man, yeah, I do have to clip that. That would be fucking great. Yeah. Oh man, I'll tell you. Let me get to some of these here. Demonstrate, do not explicate. Women want you to play the game without exposing the game. Once you see the Matrix, you cannot go back, of course. Thank you for your super chats. That's the only thing floating this show right now. Because I am still, I'm not only shadow banned, I am still on the DHS watch list. I'm still getting, my traffic is still being ruthlessly. I should show you guys this. Maybe if I can find that. I'm gonna show you my August stats, and you will definitely know that I am most definitely being like diverted, and I'm basically, my traffic is being choked right now. It's being throttled. Has women's need for drama evolved from war brides? Yes and no. That's a really good question. So when we're talking about like women's need for drama, I have there's an essay chapter in my first book. It's called Indignation. And I originally wrote that because it appeared to me that women had this innate need for indignation. Like they had, like they wanted to be offended. They wanted to and if they can't be offended in real life, they'll do it vicariously through like TV shows or through their like living through their sisters or their girlfriends or whatever else. Right. And so the reason why women like indignation, and they like, we call it drama, but I call it like outrage, indignation. The indignation, I think, is probably the better term for this, because the way that I track this is that women have an innate need for indignation. They have an innate need for drama, because what it is it's kind of like when we go and watch a horror movie. We still need to go see Alien. Yes. When you want, but why do we like horror movies? They're horrible, man. It's like simulating death, right? I mean, but we like horror movies because it triggers a fear response in us that we don't normally get in normal society, unless you live in like Martin Luther King Jr. Street. Unless you live in North Las Vegas, you probably don't deal with danger very, very often. But the thing is like we're always trying to find like safe ways to trigger aspects of our sort of evolved human nature. And one of those is horror movies. That's why we like horror, because it makes us scared. I mean, it should anyways. It's kind of hard to scare ourselves these days, but it should make us frightened. It should make us like, a revulsion response, right? It's feeling those feelings that we used to feel all the time when we were like living in hunter-gatherer tribes, outside the jungle or whatever, when a Black Panther could just jump out of the bush and just drag you off and kill you, right? It's why we're still scared of snakes. It's why we're still scared of like bugs. By the way, I just killed a black widow spider just 2 days ago. Shit. Yeah, it was in my garage. We have scorpions here in Vegas. Yeah. I did not know that. We have transparent scorpions too, which I did not know. And you now need a black light for. I was okay with black scorpions or like brown or red scorpions, but the see-through glass kind of scorpions, that's fucking cheating. That is cheating. You're going to kill me and I'm not even going to see it. Yeah. But we have, weird. okay, I am not scared of bugs per se. I am not scared of snakes really all that much. I am scared of clear, like transparent scorpions. Yeah, I think I'm scared of those. that I think I'm okay with. But the reason why we are is because those are the things that could easily kill us back then. That's why the devil is the snake. It's the serpent, right? He's not the devil is not like the bald eagle. the devil is not like a nice fluffy little lemur. Why does the devil always like talk like this? I'm the devil. It's not like that voice. It's not the voice of like some like 6-year-old girl. I am the devil. It can be anything you want, right? So but there's a reason for that, because it sounds bestial, right? And those are the things that used to scare us. Well, same thing, it can be applied to pornography. That's why we get addicted to pornography, because it's triggering, or it's something that we want to experience that in our evolutionary past we had to really fight for. We really had to if we wanted to get laid, we had to jump through a lot of fucking hoops to get laid, right? Or other that, or we would do the end around, right? The forced copulation end around. But now we can have it on. It's like part of the utilities, right? It's we have access to a sexuality that the human beings have never been accustomed to, and so the same thing applies, I think, anyways, towards female indignation. Now, why is that? Because women had to have a very refined. They will call it feminine intuition. I call it the female hypergamous filter, right? And what that is that means that a woman has to be able to figure out if a guy is for real. Is he the real deal? Like the whole reason why Tinder Swindler was such a popular show was because these women couldn't figure out if Simon Leviev was real or not. Is he really a Mossad agent? is his father really a Hasidic diamond merchant? No. But that's where the indignation comes from. Like that's why they, like the women who are in the show, that's why they felt like they could start a Kickstarter so that they could pay back all of they wanted people to help them. Like, hey, donate to our Kickstarter so we can pay back these loans we took out for this son of a bitch, who, by the way, is still free and still doing classes and still making money and still fucking taking women for a ride, because there's really nothing that we can do about it. But we fucked up. Can you give us money? Because we took out 9 bank loans. nine fucking bank loans for this guy, right? But the reason why, and of course people are not stupid enough to do, I hope they're not stupid enough, but they the indignation part. You want to know why The Bachelor is such it's in its 29th season, almost coming up on 30 seasons now. The reason, it's the longest running show on ABC ABC's ever had, right? Because the formula, even the Golden Bachelor, right? Yeah. The Bachelor and the Bachelorette are fundamentally based on one thing: is this guy the real deal? Is he really the best for her? Who's going to get the rose? Like that. The reason why it's so enthralling, and it's almost like, I think it's like 95% women and then like 5% homosexual men watching the show, or the men that are forced to watch it. Maybe that's it, right? But the reason why it's popular is because it's trying to figure out if the guy is the real deal. Is he the best for her? Oh, he's so much better than, like, and it's water cooler talk. Like, oh, do you think is Brad better than Kyler? No. Who cares? No. You don't know who they are. It's all scripted anyways. But it's remember when I took that class, when I took the women in literature class, and I told you about the formulas for writing a successful romance novel, it's very similar to that indignation. Like, oh, should I choose this guy he's an exciting helicopter pilot in Brazil, and he's just so, he's so dynamic, and he's Batman, he's a Dark Knight, and he does things his own way, and he's his own person? Or should I get with Superman or Captain America because they're so reliable and he's still good looking and everything else, but like he's just not exciting as the other guy? Like, and so really the conflict between figuring those guys out, that's very, very enthralling for women. They love that shit. You want to look at any romance. Pretty Woman. By the way, I was just looking at I couldn't remember. It was Julia Roberts who was actually the woman that's, and Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, right? And so she's the hooker with the heart of gold. This is also Jordan Peterson. This is also the divine feminine, the hooker with the heart of gold. You can't get away from that one either. And I thought about this and I go, you know, what's interesting is like today's women, like modern 21st century women, their mating strategy is pretty woman. It's basically, I'm going to be a hooker. I'm going to be a whore until my Richard Gere, my rich motherfucker shows up and he like he does the thing with the necklace and everything. Until he does this, I ain't got, you know? And so like that's their retirement plan is Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. Like, I mean, ladies, like your retirement plan is finding a suitcase full of money on the side of the road somewhere. You know, hopefully, I hope it happens, you know, because that's basically what it is. Women's dating, like plan for life is Pretty Woman. I'm going to be a whore until I find the guy who can take me out of whoredom. I'm going to be on OnlyFans until I meet my rich, good-looking industrialist who can take me make me an honest woman, take me away. Would you give up OnlyFans? Yeah, for the right guy. The right guy is Richard Gere. If I can Pretty Woman, that's who it is. There's not too many of them. I'm sorry. You know, rich industrialists. What's an industrialist? I don't know. Exactly. So guys, if a woman asks you what you do for a living, just say, I'm an industrialist. What's an industrial? I stole this line from Tulsa King. What's an industrialist? Exactly. Nobody knows. But that's how it goes. By the way, the indignation, I think, is one of those feelings. Like women want to be able to remind themselves that their intuition or their hypergamous filter still works. Because remember, they had to have a very finely tuned psychological mechanism, intuition, I think, to determine whether a guy is for real, because they're essentially risking their lives by having sex with the guy. Now, if the guy was really hot and they wanted to fuck the guy, they were going to do that, right? But if they had to be very careful of those things. That's why a lot of the guys who are on sort of like the beta buck side of things, they'll overemphasize this. Like if a woman wants to fuck you, she's going to fuck you. But if a woman wants to have children with you or she sees a future with you, she has to determine whether you're the real deal or not, or if you're a cheater, right? That's where we get like, you want to know why women hate, that's why we have the show Cheaters, right? Or when Julian Blanc from RSD was sort of dragged before, you know, public opinion, and he had to sort of renounce his player cad ways. It's like Tucker Max. Oh, that was the old me. The new me is I'm a family man and I've got kids, and it's because I knocked up my girlfriend and she insisted we get married. But that being as it is, I'm really a swell guy, and those other pickup artists that I used to be, fuck all those guys. They don't know any better. I'm telling you, as a former pickup artist, I'm telling you that this is really the right way to go. Come back, prodigal son, right? Women want to determine whether or not, through their intuition, through their feelings, there's nothing that is more self-satisfying for women than to try to figure out a guy based on that intuition. Like, and by the way, don't dissuade women from that. You want to know why women love the bad boy, but it's because he's a mystery. They can't tell whether this guy is somebody they could like. Is he the beast or is he the prince? Can we figure this guy out? He's really deep. No, he's not deep. He just fucking understands your nature. He understands that, like, to keep the fish on the hook, like you keep playing the fish, right? You gotta have the right lure. You gotta have the right bait. But once the fish is on, you don't just pull the fish out. I know I'm going Patrice O'Neal, sorry. But you don't just whip the fish out. You've got to play the fish. Otherwise you break the line, right? I mean, there's a lot of push and pull and the back and forth and stuff. I'm a fisherman, man. You guys have seen my fishing pictures on Instagram, in spite of all the women who tell you not to put fishing pictures on your Instagram. But it's the remaining a mystery. It's really retaining identity is what it is. One of the reasons why guys like really kind of fail with women, especially like from the get-go, is because they become too familiar too quickly. There's nothing else to figure out. A lot of women will hate it when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. You need to learn the fine art of breadcrumbing, meaning you give them just enough of yourselves to keep them coming back for the next date or coming back for more. I can't figure this guy out. I don't know if he's the real deal or he's not. I can't figure him out. There's nothing that is more fucking engaging and more like intriguing sexually intriguing than having some sort of air of mystery to you. You want to know why Tinder Swindler was so successful doing what he was doing? It's because there was always some new scam. I'm a Mossad agent. Really? Really? Yes, and I need you to take me out a $30,000 loan because the Matrix is after me. Really? Okay. And of course, there's no one to sort of like, and by the way, the Tinder Swindler, Simon Leviev, knows this stuff. He understands female nature well enough to be able to sort of use it manipulatively. Like, I could probably do that. And I know that there's other people, like if you look at like guys like Mathew Hussey, or you look at guys like, I'll just throw him a bone, even Corey Wayne, or you give these guys who like understand female nature well enough, those guys could use their superpowers for evil very easily. They could very easily leverage their understanding of female nature to become the next Simon Leviev if they wanted to. They could very easily do that. Fortunately, there's fewer of them than there's fewer bad agents than there are good agents, right? I could do that. I could very easily use my maybe I am right now. I could very easily do that. But like the thing is like it's that understanding. There's, as I said before, there's in my first book, there's nothing that is more threatening yet simultaneously attractive as a man who understands his own value to women and is willing to use it. And not only does he know it, he's willing to leverage it. That's where the threat comes from, because women are trying to figure you out. That's the appeal of The Bachelor. That's the appeal of romance novels. That's the appeal of Tinder Swindler. That's the appeal of Wade Wilson. He's going to die in jail, ladies. Sorry. Just something to keep in the back of your head. Hookers, hourly women are the loyal ones. Well, at least, you know what? They're not the loyal ones. They're the honest ones. There's nothing more honest than a hooker. Trust me. What are you going to say? You're a whore. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm a whore.
Nuke was approached by an old plate to be a sperm donor. I hope you ran. Wait, here. This is my advice to you. Where do we go? Here. You have to sign paperwork agreeing that you will never contact the child. It's more of a concern that the dad goes out to find his child, but you didn't do it. Good for you. Please don't do that. You live in Texas. You live in the United States. How dare you? Leave that to us professionals. The Danish, we know what the fuck we're doing, Nuke, okay? we got this. We got it. You go back to line dancing or whatever you do in Texas. Has women's need for travel evolved to stop inbreeding? Need for travel? No. Remember, it's not a need. It's a hobby. I saw this thing where it's like, they were saying like, what are the most unattractive hobbies a man could have? Right. Top of the list, video games. You know what the next one is? Collecting figures. No. I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm absolutely screwed. I am absolutely screwed because those are the first things out on my list. Plays a musical, plays an Ibanez guitar. Not just any guitar, he plays an Ibanez. But so I saw those, but then the things that are attractive hobbies, traveling, that is not a fucking hobby. You do that for work. You do that for vacation. You do that for pleasure. That is not, what's my next hobby adventure going to be? I think we're going to go to Siam. No, travel is not, I don't think travel is necessarily a need, but I do understand what you're saying. Is it want for variety? I suppose you could, now this is just me spitballing here. I'm not saying this is the official canon of any of this, but I suppose you could make the argument that women like the outsider. They like the swarthy outsider. One of the reasons why they fall in love with their captors is because it might have something to do with reproductive variety. So you could make the argument that women are attracted to. I'm not saying that they get with these guys, but are attracted to, maybe they want to fuck these guys who are sort of the other, the outside the tribe, the swarthy, stranger in a strange land kind of guy. There's always you want to know why women like men with accents that are not of their own native accent, right? Why do women in the United States love them some Sterling Cooper? It's that fucking Australian accent, man. Come on, like or Chris Williamson. Oh, I don't know what it is about him. It's his fucking accent. God damn it, man. You know, I never realized that until I went to Holland. I started going to Holland for when I was working in wine and spirits, or I went to Panama. I was in Holland and was in Belgium, and they speak English, right? Mm-hmm. And I speak English, but I'll speak American English. Actually, I don't. I speak Huntington Beach surfer boy in language. We even have accents here. I never knew the differences between like Southern accents until I lived in Florida.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah, I can distinctly tell you the difference between someone from North Carolina and that Southern drawl. Yeah. Versus someone from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's just so precious. That doesn't mean precious, by the way. That means you're a bitch. Yeah. She's just so precious. A Texas, I definitely know a Texas accent because my father-in-law is from Texas, and you know a Texan when you hear that drawl, the Texas Southern drawl. And then there's the Bayou. Then there is Louisiana and a little bit of Arkansas, but Louisiana and Mississippi right in there. And you have that kind of Cajun accent. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Yeah. I remember the first time I went to, because I used to work for a casino up in Lake Tahoe, and they had a sister property that was a riverboat casino in Mississippi. And the first time I went to Mississippi, oh my God, I couldn't even. They were speaking English, and I couldn't tell. I could pick every third word out of it because it was like almost like Creole English, right? And I never, but they're speaking English. Yeah. And then the people who I was with, they would talk to me like I'm talking to you right now. And then they would talk to like the waitress or whoever, the host of the restaurant we were at. And they would just switch instantly. Like, you want sweet tea? What? Sweet tea. Oh, okay. Yeah. No sweet. I just have the right. You like it without sweet. You like if you don't get sugar, drown it in sugar. And in the South, man, they look at you like, what's wrong with you? No, just a little bit of lemon, please.
Cavities.
Yes. Yes. Oh God. Everything's deep fried and shit too. It's good though. I had a
deep fried gator is delicious.
I have had gator before. That was Florida thing though.
Frog legs.
No. Crawdads.
Crawdads? Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you're having crayfish, crawdads, shake, and you have to suck the heads off. Like, ugh. Like they're good up until that point. Looks will definitely get you in the door, but game, masculinity, attitude, drive works best. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up because that was actually sort of a topic I wanted to touch on just a little bit today. People have asked me this before. They said, Rollo, do you think looks maxing is the thing? I've done so many shows on looks. Looks will get you in the door. Looks are the price of admission. Looks gets you past the velvet rope into the club. Okay. Once you get in the club, then you have to have social skills. Then you have to have game. Then you have to have attitude, drive, ambition. Okay, got it. I kind of like look at those as like sort of like social skills. So masculinity, game, attitude, drive, which I would classify as like ambition. Yeah, I mean, being extroverted is most like. By the way, if you're an extrovert, that solves all your problems, according to latest studies on by Date Psych and Mac and Murphy and God knows who. And by the way, Mac, we're gonna get to you today too. By the way, before the end of the show, Mac gave me some love, and I mean that. I mean that's in I mean that like this. Yes, I got love from Mac. I love you too, bro. Yeah, Mac, where is it?
Say my name.
Finally, thank you for saying my name. But anyways, yeah, I mean, looks are most important, I would say, at least in the beginning. Now, looks aren't going to carry you to the end, but they definitely will. They will definitely make things. They're a force multiplier. Put it that way. I wrote an essay that is in the first book, and it's called Looks Count. And in there, I started it like this. It's like, what is it? Money. Oh, no, it's looks, affluence, and game. Now, I say affluence because affluence is money and status, right? A little fame, whatever. Social status, right? So if I say affluence, it's money, status, whatever. So it's like looks, affluence, and game. Have two. Ideally, you want to have all three, but have two. And if you can't have two, the one that you need to have that's the most important is game. Is to be congruent, is to be outgoing, to understand your nature, to understand women's nature, to be a good player of the game. Okay. Now, does that mean that that's the only thing? No, it doesn't, but it's the most important of the triumvirate, which is having game and social skills so that you can cover a multitude of sins with really good game. And you can cover a multitude of sins with looks, but if you are a good-looking dude and you have no game, or you're a simp, or you are sort of a beta kind of weesh chump, and you're incongruent with your looks, it's almost worse. Like if you're a good-looking guy and women are expecting you to have a certain personality type or a certain sort of gravitas, let's just say, because you're good-looking and you don't have that, it's almost a bigger disappointment. So what do we got here? Let's keep going. Breaking. Another attempt on Trump was foiled. It was?
Yeah. I think at his golf place.
They tried to shoot him again?
I don't know if they tried to shoot him, but I think the FBI stopped the guy with the AK-47 or something like that.
Like, well, just give it to him. Just give him the freaking presidency at this point.
I'm saying.
Can we just, like, I want to say this right now. I think I said this when the first attempt was made, is if there's an attempt to assassinate a political figure who is running for office in an election year, it's not a random occurrence. And now that this has happened twice, can we just say right now, can we all accept that someone's out to get him? Some faction, some political movement. I don't know who. I'll let you guys figure that. I think you know. But who is trying to take out Trump because they are worried that he is going to become the president of the United States? And by the way, once he is, assuming he is, do you think these assassination attempts are going to cease after that? Probably not. Someone is out to get him. Who could that be? It's not a random occurrence. Oh boy, I can hardly wait to hear what Destiny has to say about this. Right. Did somebody get clipped? Did somebody catch a stray? What? Let's go. Let's go, D. What's up? Oh darn! I guess he should have spent more time at the range. Right? Right, Destiny? There you go. Fucking asshole. Watched Mike interview Casey Zander. Casey was talking about satisfying hypergamy to keep women. You say hypergamy doesn't care. There's always a better option to hypergamy. Is Casey wrong? No, I think if Casey is wrong, it's the idea that you could satisfy it in the first place. Okay. That's the problem. Like, I think what he's alluding to, like, is being in a long-term. I haven't seen the clip yet, so don't sue me. Until I do, just take this with a grain of salt. You're never going to satisfy. You're never going to content. You're never going to content hypergamy, because by nature it's never going to be content. So you have to be her best option. You have to employ dread. You have to, in some way, maintain superiority, quality control. And by the way, I think people, like a lot of guys, think that that's some sort of impossible task to do. And I will tell you this right now, it becomes way easier the older you get and the longer you're with that person. Because just by nature, women's sexual market value and their natural innate agency decays over time. Some faster than others, obviously, some slower than others, but you as a man should be hitting your stride right around 34 to 36 years old, somewhere in there, and hitting your stride at that point. And if you happen to be single at that time, then you're getting close to, if not at the peak of your sexual selection. You will enjoy you can potentially enjoy a sexual selectivity that was reserved for women who were 23 years old when they were 23. So But as that out here, I'll even show you. Let's go to the chart here. There we go. Here, let me take this off of here real quick.
There you go. Got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, thanks. So here you have my infamous chart here, which no, I didn't just pull this out. I did pull it out of my ass back in the day, but it has been proven over and over again by multiple studies since then. 23, right around the time that women hit their sexual market value peak. Men, right around, I think I pegged it at 37 in this one. But you're certainly on your ascent by the time you get to be about 30, 31 years old. And by the way, it's no coincidence that women's average age of first marriage is 30 for women and 32 for men. Okay. So if you're a guy and you are in a relationship, or even if you're dating, you're not going to have to worry too much about hypergamy and satisfying hypergamy. A, because you'll never will. And then second of all, if you're in a relationship, hypergamy works to your advantage, because if you're on your game and you're maximizing your potential, you're already doing that. Remember what I said about indignation and what I said about like the Bachelor or Cheaters or whatever, like that sort of indignation. Is he the best I can do? Like, is he the right? Is he the one? Is he the one? Right. That gives way to, is he the best I can do? And as we'll talk about the holistic approach to the red pill. It's also why women give you shit tests and different kinds of shit tests at different phases of their maturity. So when you're first meeting a woman and you just say you just met her in a club, or you met her at a social gathering or something like that, and that woman starts like kind of ribbing you and trying to she gives you shit tests, right? She's trying to determine if you're really who you say you are. And again, that goes back to the indignation, which goes back to that innate intuition, that drive to figure out if a guy is the real deal. Is this guy really, making partner in his law firm? Is he really did he do his residency? Is he really a surgeon now? Is he an entrepreneur? Is he an industrialist? Or is he a barista? Or is he a sandwich artist at Subway? Right? He just has really good riz, and he tricked me. Like women, that's the existential fear of women, is to be tricked into breeding with a guy who she believed was higher value, and then discovered later on that he was lower value. That's why it's imperative. That's why I said it's like a life or death situation. And that's why women want to re-stimulate that ability or that intuition to see whether or not they still got it, or they can still figure out whether this guy is the one or he's not the one. All of that changes once you get into a relationship. Now it goes from it's not so much about is he who he says he is. It's the shit tests become, is he the best I can do? And that's really where we pick up the whole Casey Zander thing, is he the best I can do? And if Casey is saying be the best so that so that question is answered with no uncertain terms, then yes, I would agree with that. Yes, you have to be the guy that answers that question automatically. Are you going to ever be able to, is there going to be like 2% doubt? Yes, there always will be. Is there going to be 10%? Like what I said before is like every what is it? One oh shit erases 10 attaboys. Oh, yeah. Well, if you have one oh shit and she erases 10 attaboys, now are you the best she can do? Remember, divorce, hell, even Galloway had like it cops to this one. Divorce is about money, and usually it's because that guy isn't living up to the fact that woman makes more money than he does, or if she gets a promotion and she starts making more money than he does, that is the prime precipitator of divorce. If a guy takes a hit in status, and usually that's because of money. If that guy loses his job, the clock starts then. She's not going to lose you then. She's not going to ditch you right then and there, but the clock is ticking. Thank you very much, Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock or whoever the fuck said that, right? The clock is ticking at that point. And guys know this too. That's why that bit is funny, because guys are like, yeah, you're right. That's how I got my first divorce. I lost my first job. That's why guys get zeroed out. By the way, that's why I started REIGNITE, man. REIGNITE is the program that I'm working on with Mike from, the guys from MOA, Men of Action. And we're catering to guys who are like in the really 40 plus demo. I think I'm just going to call it 40 plus. We've been saying 45 to 65, but like I said, if you're younger than that, it's not going to exclude you. And you know, Robert Kiyosaki's 77. He would definitely be allowed into the group, right? But that's why that's one of the primary reasons why I started Reignite, so we can work with these guys who are sort of reintegrating themselves back into the, you know, sexual marketplace usually after a bad divorce. Sometimes they've just been single their entire lives. That's fine too, right? So that's why I started this. That's why me and Joe Marin have started this, which, by the way, we'll be launching, I think, the end of this week or the coming week, or might be the beginning of next week. So, and we'll be going to Babes in Toyland, by the way, which will be in Los Angeles, October 17th. Our first planned event for Reignite will be October 16th, 17th, and 18th. We're going to be at the Sky Bar. Well, on the 17th, the Babes in Toyland event is at Sky Bar at the Mondrian. And so our entire event will be, it'll be 3 days, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And we'll be at the Mondrian, which, if you've ever been to Los Angeles, it's in Hollywood. It is a fan-fucking-tastic hotel. I've been there before. I love this place. So we'll be at Sky Bar is where Babes in Toyland is going to be, but we're going to have meetups there. We're going to go to cigar bars. We're going to go to men's clothing stores. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to have all these things that we got. Me and Joe are like brainstorming right now, all the things that we can do. So if you're in that demographic, you're going to want to just DM me. You can do it on Instagram, or you can hit me up on Twitter, or you can just email me if this is something that you want to get into. And I'm giving you guys advance notice now, because everybody keeps saying, "Oh, I would have gone if you would have told me like 6 weeks ago." I'm telling you now, it's going to be on October. The event is on October 16th through the 18th. 17th and by the way, it's a pink party, because it's breast cancer awareness month, right?
October, yeah.
So instead of a white party where you have to wear all white, you have to wear all pink. And by the way, I ordered my own, I got a nice kind of flowy shirt that, you know, emphasizes these.
The Death Star delts.
The Death Star delts, the bowling ball delts, yes. And and I have a pink shirt, and it takes a real man to rock a pink shirt. Let me tell you, and I ain't one of them. I cannot.
It's not pink. It's salmon.
It's silky salmon. It's not pink. It's silky salmon. Yes. So I will be doing that. I have to give you that announcement right now, because it kind of coincides with this topic. But yeah, so like guys who are sort of coming out of that divorce or coming out of that, you know, if you want to get back on the horse, guys who get zeroed out. One of the reasons why I started Reignite is because that's the prime demographic for male self-deletion, right? So, and according to James Sexton, divorce attorney James Sexton, statistically speaking, their first average age of first divorce is 43 for men. And so that coincides, by the way, with the prime demographic for male self-deletion. Well, people say, well, there's no networks. You know, the men don't have any friends to talk to, and they don't have, like, well, now you do. We've got a network of guys to help you sort of get back on the horse and reignite your life, right? To rebuild your life, to reconstruct your life. And by the way, even if you're in a marriage right now that's a sexless marriage and you want to be a part of it, you don't have to be single. You can be married and be in this group as well. So we're here to help. And I'm doing something that is hands-on. So when people go, oh, you guys are just podcasters, all you do is just sit around and complain about and bitch about women all the time. Fuck you. Fuck you. We're doing something finally. Right? We're not just sitting around saying, I'm going to do a documentary about divorced people. No, you're never going to do that, Pearl. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm doing my own program right now to actually help guys. So it's going to, you get to talk to me. You get to, we have like sort of intensives. But it's guys helping guys, man. It's really what it is. I mean, I'm organizing. I'm part of it. It's my sort of my baby, but I've got guys for money, for health, wealth, and relationships. Right. So I've got guys in the network who are good at, like, let's say, hormone optimization. I've got guys who are master's class bodybuilders who will help you out with your physique, will help you out with nutrition, will help you out with a workout plan if that's what you need. Again, this is all about like what you personally need. It's not just like, here, follow these 7 steps and you'll be a real man. No, it's you on an individual basis. Like, what do you need the most? most guys need physical help, right? Game, emotional stuff. That's really kind of the emotional side is really sort of Joe's forte. But game, that's me, right? You get to have the direct access to me. If it's a business thing, if you're wanting to make entrepreneurial connections, we have that too. I mean, I hang out with Robert Kiyosaki. I hang out with George Gammon, Ken McElroy, Jason Hartman. I'm trying to think who else, but I'm trying to cover all of the bases of money, muscles, and game, which we call health, wealth, and relationships. And the reason why we call it relationships, by the way, instead of just game, is because it's not just about learning how to deal with women, which it is, interpersonal relationships. But a lot of these guys don't know how to talk to other dudes, right? They don't know when they're being bullied or they're being hazed, and when guys are just like good naturedly like trying to, iron sharpens iron. They're trying to help them out, but they're doing it as guys would do it. A lot of guys just don't understand it, and they don't understand how to talk to other guys. Well, that's another part of relationships. So that's why we're doing that. But again, it's because those guys get to that point where they kind of fall down. And so in this example right here is the idea of like sort of satisfying hypergamy. It's a never ending battle. You're never going to be able to 100%, because there's no such thing as contentment. So in a way, I understand where he's coming from. I get it. I understand the intent, but I would argue that like the human condition is defined by discontent. It's not defined by contentment. So if you feel like you are responsible for your wife or your girlfriend's contentment, you are barking up the wrong fucking tree, my friend. So, I was watching Tom Bilyeu's interview with Richard Reeves. Me and Mike were supposed to go to fucking Tom like as far back as like April of this year. We still wait Tom. At the end, they asked the question, why can't the left give a positive vision for masculinity instead of saying how men are bad? Curious to get your thoughts. Was this? Why can't the left give a positive vision of masculinity instead of saying, okay, well, the reason why is because they're afraid that if they do that, they are betraying the
female vote.
The female vote. Well, female voting for sure, but the gynocentric social order. They can't think in any other terms. That's why I have a problem with Scott Galloway. That's why I have a problem with Richard Reeves. Their analysis is spot on. Like they're analyzing the problem, and I think that's even more telling right now than the fact that they have no solutions. Right? The fact that the left, like the leftists, even wokesies, right? They can't ignore the fact that there are fucking issues that men have right now. They can't, and you know why they can't ignore this? And I just wrote, if you haven't seen it yet, I think this is just me glossing myself, right? I just did a Substack based on exactly this topic. I just put it out a day ago. And the fact is that they want a kind of masculinity that is controllable. That's why. So they can't ignore the fact that men are going through these issues. They can't ignore the fact that women can't find economically eligible bachelors. There's just not enough of them, because look how badass we are now, girls. And we're in strong, independent women, and we've become the men that we wanted to marry, but we still biologically, evolutionarily, and instinctually want to fuck a guy and want to have babies with men, and they want to have a family with that guy to the point where they'll have sperm donors from Denmark and 1,000 kids guy, right? That seems like a lot. In what other era is that a logical option? Well, this era. Why? Because men are going through these issues right now that even the left cannot ignore anymore. That's why Richard Reeves is on the committee for like boys and men for Joe Biden's like administration or whatever they promoted him to be. I don't know, but they know the problems. They'll quote them. They'll say, well, we need more men in education. We got to get more guys. We have to make education. We have to make college degrees something more attractive to men. They need men to man up. They're saying the same thing that conservatives have been saying for forever. Men, you need to take more responsibility and man up, because they don't know anything else. They haven't been doing this nearly as long as I have, and they haven't been doing it nearly as long as the Manosphere or the Red Pill's been around for goddamn sure. But they can't ignore the problems anymore. Their solutions suck. And by the way, so do conservatives. Their solutions suck too, because it's like a one size fits all. They see the problems, but they don't want to. There's no creative solutions. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that it's a zero sum fucking game. If you want to empower one gender, you have to disadvantage the other. And even if you don't do that, the other gender will perceive it as being disadvantaged by it. And you can't, because anything that's for men right now seems like it's against women. It doesn't matter. You could say, well, like Richard Reeves will say exactly this. He says, we can empower men without disempowering women. No, you can't. Because because just the fact that you're saying this, the very fact that those words are coming out of your mouth, we can empower men, that's offensive to the gynocentric social or to any woman that's ever been in any form of education of kindergarten through postgraduate school right now, because women have been taught that they have been oppressed and they have been victims of the patriarchy for forever. So in any talk, even marginal talk about empowering men in any form, and even buffering it by saying, well, we can empower men, but we don't have to necessarily disempower women because of it. No, that sounds like misogyny. Even the hint of that sounds like misogyny. And that is why it will never happen. And that is why you will never have a solution to that. I'm going to answer that question for you because apparently Richard Reeves doesn't have an adequate one for Tom Bilyeu. I'll tell you right now, it will never fucking happen. You're good at diagnosing the problem, just like anybody else is. I'm pretty good at it too. I think my solutions are a whole lot better than his, but my solutions accept that it is a zero-sum game. His is not. Same thing with Scott Galloway. Scott Galloway will cry a fucking bloody river about how guys have to man up, and guys that we got to get men on the stick, man. You know, when I was their age, I had a job, and it doesn't matter about your passions. Just find something that's 90% successful and just be a good, honest Delta male. That's his fucking solution. That's his solution. Give up on your dreams and just fucking go find some job in fabrication, or like be a steel worker, or go be a welder or some shit like that. That's his solution. Go ahead, guys. Just like cookie cutter. One fucking size fits all. Right, Scott? No, fuck off. You're not going to solve those problems. You're not going to solve those problems until you accept the fact that if you're going to empower one gender, you're going to have to disempower or disadvantage the other gender. And even if you could find some way to make it equitable, the other gender, the women are still going to think that they're being disadvantaged because it's specifically for men. You can have that's why we don't have male spaces anymore, because women get into those spaces. They go, it's not fair that Augusta Golf Club is all for men. Okay, well, let's get Condoleezza Rice in here as the first female. She doesn't even play golf. Well, let's get her in here and see if let's put a green jacket on her. And now you're in the male space right now. And all that does is just dilute the fucking the character of that particular organization, right? But we did it. But you don't see men saying, well, National Association of Women is only for women and I want to be in it as a man. Can I be in it? No man even asks that because they don't care. They don't want to be in it. They don't want that exclusive. Women's exclusivity is exclusive to just women. Men's exclusivity has to include women. And that's the difference. That's why you will not have that solution, Richard Reeves. That's why you will not have that solution, Scott Galloway. Because the girls can be a Boy Scout. Boys cannot be Girl Scouts. And if they are, you kind of look a little strange at that. You really want to be a Girl Scout, Billy? Yeah, I do. Then you kind of go, okay, well, maybe mom wants to change his gender. You know, boys don't want to be Girl Scouts, but girls want to be Boy Scouts. That's why Boy Scouts of America is a dead organization right now, because the exclusivity of keeping it all male is dead. It's done. By the way, that's also why we're like, God damn it, Games Workshop, you better not make no fucking female Space Marines. I'll tell you this right now. It's bad enough that you knuckled under with a female Custodes. You're going to retcon this storied fucking history, this grim, dark future of the 40,000 Warhammer 40,000, right? There are no female Space Marines. That's it. The jury has fucking spoken, right? That's an all-male place. It's a male space. Well, we want to have a representation in there. Well, guess what? You can be female Eldar. You can be a female fucking Slanesh. Why are you not playing Emperor's Children? Emperor's Children, you could be whatever. You could have like 3 dicks and 3 tits, man. You just do whatever you want to for Slanesh. Slanesh is very pleased with that, right? Why are you not? You want to be degenerate? We have that faction for you. It's right here. Why do you gotta fuck with my Marines?
Is it because of generations of special treatment?
Oh, yeah.
And that just brings up the social
All
hierarchy.
it is an attempt to make the shit. It's an attempt to make. They see it as a bastion. They see it as like a castle. It's the man castle, and they have to get women inside the castle to destroy the castle from within. That's essentially what it comes down to.
So it's used as a Trojan horse then.
Kind of, yeah. Like, why does that? Why would it matter that there's a female space marine or a male space marine? There's black space marines.
Yeah.
There's white space marines.
There's literal pitch black space.
Yeah, like, if you're gonna play, yeah, exactly. If you're gonna play salamanders, you're playing a black man for sure. And hey, I love the freaking salamanders background too. I think they're fantastic, right?
The only nice space marines.
There are female Imperial Guards. Oh, sorry, Astra Militarum. There are, yeah. You know, it's funny. Nobody's fighting for female orcs.
Yeah, right.
Why? That seems like a boys' club too. Why don't you want that? Right. Or Chaos Space Marines. Well, I guess if you play Emperor's Children, then you kind of do. I bring that up because I actually do have Emperor's Children, so it's one of my factions too. But they're my heresy force. They're not modern force. I don't have I have a 30K army. I have a horse heresy army for a pre heresy army. Let's just say. But yeah, and why? Because women want to be in that male space. They want to invade. That's why Richard Reeves and that's why Scott Galloway are never going to find a solution to this, because that's the imperative. That's how women think equality is achieved, by fucking female space marines. If we had female space marines, we'd finally have this utopian society where everyone was equal. No, you just fuck up a really great thing. That's what you do.
All right, let's draft the women first.
Yeah. Well, they're in the Imperial Guard. They're in IG. I have IG too. People ask me, they go like, Rollo, what armies do you play? It would be easier for me to tell you what armies I don't play. Would you like me to list them? I will list them for you. So Marines. Now, I'm only bringing this up because Space Marine 2 is, by the way, Space Marine 2 sold 2 million copies in 5 days. 2 million copies in 5 days. Take that, fucking wokesy ass hats. Yeah, that's how popular it is. You know what? No female space marines. There's a Custodes that looks like a man. There still is no really female space marines if you think about it, because this Custodes looks like it's got this big old jawline.
Built out.
Yeah, the chick that's in it. So Blood Angels is my primary force for 40K. I have them for 30K too. It's almost like I got to tell you which ones for Horus Heresy I have. So Horus Heresy, I have Blood Angels, my number 1 army. Emperor's Children, my number 2 army, which is almost as big as my Blood Angels. Because I like Fulgrim before his ascension. He's a son of a bitch. He's a great character. I have and then Ultramarines. I have Ultramarine. Those are my Marine forces for my heresy. Now for 40K, I have Blood Angels. I have Space Wolves. Which is Braun Red Maw. I have some orcs. I have a shit ton of Tyranids. I have like days for days. My main force, my largest force of army is my Eldar. I have more Eldar than anything. I don't play Necrons.
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
I don't play Necrons. I don't play Custodes. I have a really big Genestealer cult army. Tyranids I have. What else? I have a very small Tau force just because I like the. It's just like Painterly. I don't even think I've ever really even played them all that much. What else do I have? Oh, I have Chaos up the Yin Yang. I have World Eaters forever. I have demons of every faction except for Nurgle. Just because it feels like I'm playing with my boogers. Which, by the way, Nurgle is probably the best chaos force too there is, because they're so tough. But I have Slanesh, I have Tzeentch, I have Thousand Sons, I have World Eaters, I have Iron Warriors. I think what else I have. have Imperial Guard, obviously. I got most of my guard are like Talon. They're the desert forces. I'm trying to think what else I have. Anyways, that's a good rundown of most of my shit. And by the way, I have my Eldar. I have all factions of Eldar. I have Dark Eldar. I have Drukhari. I have Drukhari all day long. I have Craft World. I have Harlequins, which are my Painterly force. I love my Harlequins. And what else do I have? I have Exodites too, but they're kind of like my own homebrew. But anyway,
you need to bring them in one day.
I should. Well, I have pictures. I should put some pictures up for them. And then I have Corsairs as well. I have every branch of Eldar you possibly could imagine. So
They said, bro, just list what you don't have.
that's what I said. I said it would be easier, right? So you wanted to know. People just want to know what Marines I play, but it's mostly my 40K forces are my Blood Angels and my Space Wolves, which is a natural fit for me, right? I like both of them. Actually, Blood Angels have always been my favorite. But I've been playing 40. Okay, let me give you my bona fides here. I've been playing 40K since 1990. I played when it was the Rogue Trader book, first edition. So, and before that, I played Space Hulk, the original Space Hulk, and that's what got me into playing 40K. And then from there was just I was lost after that. Like it's down. That was the beginning of my drug addiction. You will never be drug. That's why I was never really an alcoholic or a drug addict, because I spent too much money. All my drug money went to. Hey Rolo, why does it seem that all women eventually get bored? It seems like they constantly need some kind of entertainment and hate routine predictability. That's because they seek entertainment in men. They want men to entertain them. Why do they constantly get bored? Because we do everything for them. I think women's sort of boredom or their need for excitement or entertainment, like you'll hear, like, I think guys like Coach Greg Adams, for example, will say, "Oh, you're jester maxing, right?" Or dancing monkey or whatever. It's like, well, you're going to do that no matter what. You like dancing monkey. Like I can say, if you're talking to a girl, you're performing for her. I can probably find some way to construe, like, you just, hey, what do you think of the weather today? Oh, you're talking to her because you're simping because you're talking about the weather. Like, I'm having a conversation, asshat. But it's like anything you're jester maxing, right? You can turn any conversation with a woman into simping if you nitpick it enough, right? But the reason why we have that sort of dynamic in the back of our head is because women need entertainment. They look at men for entertainment. Even and the men that they identify, the men that they can see. I'm not talking about the invisible guys, the 80%ers. The guys who are in the 20% and certainly in the 4.5%. That's why women like guys who can make them laugh, because it's entertaining. It crushes the boredom for the day, right? I think it was Pook who said this. Pook wrote this. It says the surest way to ruin a woman is to give her everything she ever wanted, and we've pretty much collectively done that. You want to know why we're in the position we're in? You want to know why women can't find an eligible bachelor these days? Is because we've given women everything they wanted. You want education? Here you go. You want equality? Here you go. You want to make more money than us? Here you go. You want better jobs than us? Here you go. You want political power? Here you go. You want to get into law? You want to be a lawyer? You want to be a judge? Yes, we need more women in there. We've always needed more women in X, Y, and Z, except for construction work and electricians and working in raw sewage and all these fucking, blue collar jobs or whatever. That's okay, ladies. You don't have to get into that, but we want you to have a rewarding career. Yes, here you go. Oh, you want to work in communications and be an HR director? Here you go. You want to work in corporate America? You want to work your way to the top? Oh, you want to break the glass ceiling? Here you go. And you know what? Once they get there, I'm so bored.
Insatiable hunger.
Yeah, or you get that. That's why I keep saying, and this is not even necessarily a female. Like men and women, as I said before, discontent defines the human condition. But how each gender deals with that discontent is unique to those fucking genders, right? So for men, we get ambitious, we get angry, we get creative, right? Because men are interested in things, women are interested in people. So where do men find their entertainment? In things. Where do women find their entertainment? In people. That's why they love Taylor Swift. That's why they like The fucking Bachelor, because it's people. That's why they get into communications. That's why they get into journalism. That's why they get into human resources. That's why they get into all the social sciences. That's why they're all everywhere in psychology. And by the way, just recently I've been reading the stats on how women are getting into law, not law enforcement, although they are kind of there too, but into becoming lawyers and becoming judges. There are more female judges now than ever before, and there are more female lawyers than ever before as well. That's one area Aaron Clary, if you're watching, you need to explore that area too, because that's going to set the precedent for, the next 5 to 10 years. Right. So, but what are women interested in? They're interested in people. What are men interested in? Things. That's why men have, I love my fucking models, and I could give two flying fucks about what hobbies you ladies think is hot or what or not, unless it's Henry Cavill. If it's Henry Cavill playing Warhammer 40K with Rollo Tomassi, oh man, I love this fucking game. Where's this been all my life? I want to paint some too. Are there female space marines? No, there's not. Get out of here, bitch. This is a men's club. Oh, they're sexist in 40K. You're goddamn right.
Rightfully so.
Goddamn right.
And that's the way it's going to be, and that's the way it always has been. So keep that at the back of your head there. But yeah, remember, there's no such thing as contentment, and that's a good thing. It's good to be discontent. That's a feature, not a bug. Because if we were content, we wouldn't do anything. That's why I always I'm still sort of in the larval stage of Reignite here, but when I was considering the Reignite program, I'm doing it we have different modules. We have 8 separate modules. And one of the things I get to from the very get-go is, what is sedating you? What sedations are, I can tell you how to go kick in the gates of hell. I can give you a 7-step program to success with how do I get my dick sucked tonight in Las Vegas. I can give you the guidebook right now. But you know what? It doesn't make a goddamn bit of difference if all you're doing is stroking off the porn, if you're smoking weed, if you've got an alcohol problem, if you're addicted to fucking prescription opioids, what is keeping you in bed? What is keeping you from doing that shit? What is your fucking sedation? Are you a fat fuck? Do you need to get in the gym? Well, maybe that's what you got. You got to figure out what is keeping you from motivating and doing something about it. And that goes back to the content versus discontent. If I can find a way to give you a cheap form of content, that's how you get porn addictions. That's how you get video game addictions. That's how you get weed addictions. That's how you get all this other stuff, because it's something that keeps you sedated. You will never rise up and overthrow the government if you are sedated all the fucking time. If you're fucking popping pills, if you're fucking that, you want to know why they're gonna outlaw testosterone, why they're gonna outlaw TRT, because they want you fucking sedated. When COVID was around, what was the first thing they did? Oh, you can't leave the fucking house. Except for, you can't go to the gym. The gyms are closed, but you can go to the liquor store and you can go to the weed dispensary. Those are still open. By design?
You're goddamn right.
Yes, by design. So they want you sedated. So the first step in Reignite is unsedate yourself. Stop it. Seek help. Get some help. Yes, that's why they're bored. Women are bored because we've given them everything and they can't find that entertainment in people. And they're not entertained by things. That's why you want to know, here's a prime example of this. Why are they so bored? Well, because women's think that a hobby is travel. Travel is a hobby. That's why they're bored. Because they can't find a person who shares the same hobby as they do, which is taking them on expensive trips to Aruba, right? That's why. It's because it's not about. It's they think that travel is a hobby. They think that things that are going to Starbucks and catching up with friends is a hobby. No, that's just you being a real fucking human being, man. Communicating is not a hobby. It's something we should be doing every fucking day. Hobby is a video game. Hobby is painting miniatures. A hobby is fucking playing basketball, right? A hobby is, I don't look at, I work out. Can you tell? I go to the gym, but I don't see that. My time with Hide Yamagishi It's not my hobby time. This is what I do. It's a passion. It's a love. And by the way, that passion and that love is exactly what fucking Scott Galloway is telling you to go fuck yourself with.
It just fell.
Oh, my plug came out. That's fine. I don't need it. Plug popped out of the wall. My bad. I should have just plugged it down. We need to get a snake down here at some point. Yeah. So yeah, that's why women get bored, because we've given them everything, and because women find entertainment in people. That's why. Hey Rollo, why does it seem that all women eventually? Okay, I already got to you. Let me run through these. Your southern accent could use some work. Well, which southern accent? You know, some sweet tea. Y'all know what I mean. That's what they sound like, man. You try to order like catfish, and that's how it goes. You want turnip greens today?
You're like, huh?
Wait, what? Yeah, I could use some work. I haven't been it's funny. I had a perfect southern accent when I was in Florida. Now I came back to the West Coast, and suddenly the Huntington Beach comes out of me. Rollo, does traveling for pleasure evolve from animal migration? No, because travel for animal migration, I don't know. Travel for animal migration was really more necessity. I don't think that like birds fly south for the winter because it's warmer. Last I checked. No, I think we travel. I think human beings travel for pleasure because we want to at least in some way think that we've seen the world before we die. Like it's like your bucket list. Like there's certain places I still want to travel to that I still want to see before I die, right? I want to see the Taj Mahal.
That'd be cool.
I do want to see the Taj Mahal. What else do I want to see? I've seen the Grand Canyon. Where's a good place? Where do you have to go before you die? Great Wall of China.
Great Wall of China, the Seven Wonders of the World, Pyramids of Giza.
Yeah, pyramids would be good. Although we could go see one. Right?
Right over
the
here.
Sphinx is right outside my door. You can have all of that here in Vegas.
You could go to the ones out in Mexico.
Machu Picchu.
Oh, Machu Picchu out in Peru.
I want to go to Lake Titicaca and Liechtenstein right after that. Oh, yeah. I think I don't necessarily know if that's necessarily about animal migration, but I mean, maybe. Who knows? I think most people want to travel. The people who do want to travel because I'll just tell you why I want to travel is because I want to have said I've seen a lot of different places before I die. I've never been to Asia. I've never been to Australia. I would like to go to Australia. Let's see. I've been to Panama. I've never been below the equator. I need to go past the equator so I can go and get that initiation. So I'm not a pollywog anymore. So I can meet Captain Neptune or whatever the fuck it is. Be a shellback.
I got to climb the Pyramid of Sun and Moon before they stop telling tourists to climb it.
Right. You have to do that before the apocalypse. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to do that before we have the next eclipse. This is for the Emperor of Dogkind. That would be Ned. Ned is the Emperor of all dogs. Female teachers who have sex with students, attraction, obstacles equals excitement. Yeah, there's probably a taboo element to it, but I would say that they're probably not getting something at home that they could be getting, if you know what I mean. The reason why so here's why. You want to know why I think this is happening? Well, first of all, it's generally it's younger teachers, women who are in their like early 24 to I think 24 is the youngest teacher I saw, and I think 40 something was like the oldest, but they generally are right around like the mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s. And all of them tend to be newlyweds, or they're married to a guy that you go, okay, I understand. She would probably want to fuck those kids or those guys, because a guy a guy who's 15 or 16, and he's like, hit his growth spurt, and he's like he's got sort of like a bad attitude and stuff, and you're around that all the time. It's like proximity. I'm sure that has something to do with it too, because you're seeing that's who you work with all the time. You're working with kids that look like that. And maybe they're football players. Maybe they're on varsity. Maybe whatever,
I wonder if it's the exposure and the years of them being a teacher that gets them to that point rather than them just initially already having that urge.
Right. And then I think that there's a certain like sense of security too. Like women, like, well, I'm a woman, he's a guy, he's not going to rat me out because he wants to fuck me.
Yeah.
And so it'll never come back on me. Or even if it does, it's not like I'm going to lose my job. I'll just get suspended and then I'll come back next semester. Like, I think women understand intrinsically that there is a separate standard of justice for women than there is with men. And that, by the way, is 100% empirically provable. There are so many studies and so much research on this that women get more lenient sentences for the exact same offenses that men do. So as I was saying before, I was being, over the top of this, but like, a male teacher who sends an inappropriate, what could be interpreted as an inappropriate text, that guy's life is ruined. His career is ruined. Mm-hmm. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to fucking jail, or you lose your job. And that's why I kept saying, I was trying to make this point with Richard Reeves, is like, you got a guy who goes into education, because he feels some sort of calling, right? Yeah. Let's just say, I want to teach math. He's got to go get a degree in mathematics, a higher degree in mathematics, usually a master's degree. Then he's got to have teaching credentials. So he's got at least a year to 2 years in how to teach, right? And then he's taken out so he's probably 6 years in, maybe 8 years in to getting his, to becoming a teacher to begin with. Then he's going to do this and take out student loans, on average, going to take out student loans that are going to cost just round it off, $100,000, $150,000, right? So you're going into debt that that you're going to have to pay off with a job that is going to start you at right around $45,000 to $50,000 here in the United States. I think it might be a little bit more for mathematics. But you're not making six figures, and you're hobbled by student debt, and you're doing this because you have some sort of like noble cause, noble ideal to go and teach kids, right? And you're in a system, you're in a work environment where you are walking a thin line every fucking day, because already 78%, 80% of your coworkers are going to be female to begin with. And really the only money that is in education is in management. It's in administration. You want to be the principal or the vice principal if you're going to make any kind of money. And even then you're just brushing $100,000 a year. Right?
Yeah, just about.
Just that. Yeah. And those positions are few and far between, but like, who's going to get into that? Who's going to get pussy for that? Right? Who's going to get pussy and start a family and everything? And you're already starting at a deficit. Men, it just is impractical to do. And it could be a STEM field. It's mathematics that you're teaching. You're still at a disadvantage. It doesn't make sense for men to get into those fields. That's why so few of them are in there. And that's why you want to know why education, like public education, and really even the university system, why it's an indoctrination camp for socialists and communists and feminists. It's because it's nothing but women. It only appeals to when women are the only ones who can safely be teachers. And even now they can't, because they're abusing their kids, right? If you see how little we pay our public school teachers right now, of course socialism seems like a great idea. Of course communism seems like a great idea. And they're going to teach it to the kids because they're saints, man. They're especially dealing with the shit that they have to deal with in public school system. I have all kinds of sympathy for public school teachers, right? You did choose it, but the fact of the matter is like, I understand exactly why it's a socialist, communist, feminist indoctrination camp, because they pay them so little that seems like the only solution. That seems like a really good solution to them, right? So we got to spread the wealth, because we're teachers and we're in charge of the future of our children, right? Let's see. Motorhead or Motley Crue? Come on, man. Really? Motorhead, dude. Motorhead's where it's at. Rolo, have you ever done a deep dive into the 7-year itch? Yes, I have. I'm convinced it's real. You are correct. It is real. Child survival jumped dramatically after 6 years. So getting another mate drives genetic diversity. Chicks bail at 35. Well, here's you want some more sad statistics? Here I am, just a bundle of fucking sunshine. Average age of first marriage for women, 30. For men, about 32. Okay. When you look at the average age or average duration of a marriage before first divorce, you're looking at 9 years, or you're looking at the average is 7 years, but you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 9 years, with the average being 7. That's the 7-year itch, right? So look at it this way. A woman is 30 years old. On average, she's going to be divorced by 37, because that's the mean average. It might be 39. But right around this, by the way, gentlemen, watch, if you're married, you just got married. Sorry to lay this one on you so quickly, but the fact is like, if she's 30 and you're 32, by the time you're 40 and she's 38, she's looking to exit. Now, are they always looking to exit? No, of course not. But if it's going to happen, if there is going to be a divorce, on average, it's going to be when she's about 37 or 38 years old. She starts looking at a personal trainer. She starts looking at, like, if the telltale signs are there, you might be dealing with someone who's like considering like exiting the relationship. So keep those things in mind when you get to that age. So is there such thing as a 7-year itch? Well, I mean, I think we knew this, but we didn't have the stats to really prove it. But according to Jim Sexton, average duration of a marriage is about 9 years, between 5 to 9 years, and 7 being the mean average of all of that. So when we're looking at the average age of first divorce, if the guy is 40 and the woman is, let's say, 38, right there, and it takes about a year or two to go through a divorce, because it always takes longer to get divorced than it does to get married. You're looking at a guy who's about 42 years old. And what is that? That is right about the beginning of the average age of, well, first divorce for men. And also it begins the average age of the highest incidence of self-deletion for men. So again, sorry, I don't want to be a barrel. I hate to be a bundle of sunshine for you, but that's how it works. Is turning women into an ideal, a evolutionary strategy of the beta male? Yes. How do artists fit into this? Much of the art of the past may not exist if poets were red pill, for instance. Yeah. Well, remember, we didn't understand this shit. That's why. Or that's why you can't enjoy 80s power ballads anymore. That's why you can't listen to Michael Bolton anymore. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, because the magic's gone. The frontiers are over, man. It's also why you can't go watch Friends anymore, or why it's tough to watch Roseanne. Remember I played that one clip last week of Roseanne and all that stuff. It's a horror movie. You can't. Mrs. Doubtfire was a comedy in the 90s. It's not a comedy anymore. Yeah. Because we look at it through the red pill lens now, and you can't take that lens off. And I've talked about this before, because guys would keep telling me like, well, Rolo, I don't want to be a social robot. Like that's what Neil Strauss called them at the end of the game in the book The Game. It's like, I'm worried about these guys becoming social robots, right? They don't feel anymore. They just like spit game all the time, and they spit all this code, right? It's all scripts and everything. So, yeah, because it works. Now they're not writing poetry. They're not writing sonnets. They're not writing 80s power ballads. They're not writing, Don't Stop Believing. Which sucks, man. I can still listen to old power ballads. I can still listen to old stuff that I liked back in the day, but that's because I understand it for what it is right now. But yeah, you don't get Ovid, you don't get Shakespeare, you don't get the romantics of like the Enlightenment era. You don't get that's why I'm sometimes I lock horns with some people over this. I think emotion and magical thinking are a necessary part of human nature. I don't forget the name of it. And maybe Rugby or Sam Bada will figure this out for me, but there's actually a part of your brain that is dedicated to like magical thinking, like what's possible. Imagination, maybe it's a better way of calling it. And so like whenever I hear people say, well, hope is not a strategy. I'm like, no, but hope is necessary, because hope is part of that magical thinking. It's part of your imagination. You don't get the X-Men, and you don't get Avengers, and you don't get Warhammer 40,000, and you don't get all these, you don't get Aliens, and you don't get all this stuff that's really fucking enjoyable. Like you really dig on it, right? Without that hope, right? And I'm using that loosely.
It's also the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. So it's a part that's dedicated to sort of like what is possible. So hope is not a strategy, but it is a necessity. And that's, I brought this up in in the first chapter of my fourth book, which is Religion, right? And I used the quote from, I think it was Albert Einstein, who said, he was asked, what's more important, imagination or knowledge? And he's like, well, imagination. And I'm like, no, both of them are equally as important, because one informs the other. And so you don't get imagination without knowledge, and you don't get knowledge without imagination. And if you take one away, then you're either a robot, or you're just this emotional flighty. Everything's just based on magic and pixies and fairies and shit like that, right? You need both of them, and you need a healthy balance of both of those things too. So, is it a beta male strategy to idealize women? Yes, it is. It's absolutely a beta male strategy to idealize women. And you also remember this, is that men are the true romantics. Women are not romantic whatsoever. Women hate it when I bring this up. But the thing is the onus of the duty, the burden of performance of romance it's never been on women. It's always been on men. That's a qualifier. Oh, is he romantic? Is he trying to be romantic? I need a man who's romantic. Well, the thing is that the problem with romance is that it's spontaneous. It's like serendipitous. It's not like something that you can plan. It's like, well, that's why whenever it's like Valentine's Day, it's like, oh, we're gonna have date night, or I'm gonna go get the presidential suite at the fucking at MGM or something like that. I'm gonna sprinkle rose petals all over the fucking bed, and we're gonna have like, I don't know, hot monkey sex with some Walmart lingerie or some shit like that, right? And it's like, no, that's contrived. The most romantic things that you can do are not acts of money. Like it's the gum wrapper ring that you made for her when you were like in a senior in high school. That she'll hang on to that fucking gum, like, especially if it's some like guy that she fucked back then and she still kind of pines for him. She's still got that gum wrapper ring. Not that I know that sounds oddly specific, but no, not that that's happened to me. And maybe I did it and they're pining for me. But the idea of romance is not something that is planned. It's not a date night. It's something that like spontaneously happens. Women will remember shit that you like and think it's the most romantic thing in the world. And you're like, I wasn't even trying to do that. It's because you weren't trying to do that. It was like, it's almost Zen. Like it just happened. Instead of like, oh, I know what I'm going to do to make this really romantic. I'm going to take her to the steakhouse, and then we're going to go upstairs and sit in the jacuzzi and sip mimosas, and then we're going to fuck. That's not romance. That's you like trying to plan your fucking next sexual escapade is what you're trying to do, which might be something she wants to do too, right? But it's not romance. Romance is something that happens. It happens. You have to allow it to happen. And that's why, as I was saying before, it's like making, that's why the guy who like gives away his present to his girlfriend is a bag of Skittles, right? Oh, it's so romantic because it's you. It's not the fucking Skittles. It's not the gum wrapper ring. So yeah. But but it's the idea. That's why the problem with this is like, if you're going to idealize, you can put a woman on a pedestal. It might make for some good art. It might make for a good 80s power ballad. It might make for a good poem. And it might last through the ages, right? But the purpose behind it, people arguably, the purpose behind all art is so guys can get fucked, guys get laid. It's creative. It's an expression of creative intelligence is what it is. I think it was Dr. Jeffrey Miller who proposed that music, art, pretty much any creative endeavor is like a peacock's tail, right? It's like guys peacocking. Like, look what I can do. Like I can ride a wheelie down the street on my bicycle. Look, Sally, right? That's instead it's like, I'm going to paint a fucking masterpiece. And this is how fucking badass I am as a painter. It's ultimately the purpose of that, of the ability of the talent is so you can reproduce. So I know, again, that takes the magic out of it, right? Sorry to be a fucking wet blanket again. As I said, bundle of sunshine. Looks for short term, game for long term. But nowadays you need short term to get to long term unless you see her regularly, but not until she's in her epiphany phase or you lack looks. Will get you denied one out of 2 times. Okay, thanks. This is 2. So you need, dude, you could just like give me a $20 super chat and you won't have to like separate. I'm not gonna read it all at once. So you need affluence, which is money and status, all to get an average girl in her 30s who's had her fun, tired of bad boys. They're never tired of bad boys. I think I probably should have started. We should have led with that. The big ones hurt in is ready to settle for you. Looks is number 1. Looks is always going to be number 1. You have to be in shape. You have to have 22-inch guns. What was it? Mike was saying the reason you're not getting laid is because your arms aren't big enough. Get your arms big, spaghetti arms. I hate this. I absolutely hate this because I've experienced this recently. Okay. So there's that meme. I'm sure you've seen that. I know Kyle's seen this meme. It's the guy who's dreaming of like looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so he's like lifting weights and everything. The dream is like him, like being buff and all these girls around him because now he's got like fucking muscles and everything. Yeah. And then in the next panel, it's like he's all jacked and everything. And it's like nothing but guys going, hey man, what's your stack, man? What's your nutrition look like? Oh, how much is your fucking deadlift? It's nothing but guys that are around him trying to get advice from him as a personal trainer. But yeah, looks are always going to be number 1. I will 100% agree with that. Is game important? Yes, because looks will carry you so far. But game is something like having social skills. You could like, that's like saying this. That's like saying, like, if you think that looks are all that fucking matters, the only thing that fucking matters, that's like, by that logic, then a kid with Down syndrome who is jacked and looks like Chris Evans or something like that, that guy should be just as sexually marketable as a guy who's a fucking genius and looks like Chris Evans. There's not. There's a qualitative difference. So just understand, like looks. If there's an order of importance, priority, looks is very much at the top. But that's not the only thing on the fucking list. Okay, there's affluence, there's status, there's humor, there's all the social, there's congruency, there's all this other stuff that goes along with that. Is looks going to get you laid? Probably. If you're like exceptionally good looking, sure. If that's all you're about, but once you get past the looks, then what else do you have as that's in that stack, right? Speaking of bad boys, can one be a bad boy at 40 plus? Of course you can. You know who's a badass at 60? Lenny fucking Kravitz, man. That dude. Now I don't care what your politics are, whatever. I don't care, but that dude. That's Rollo Tomasi. When 4 years from now, I want to look like fucking Lenny Kravitz, dude. Yes, you can be a bad boy at 40, 60, 50, whatever. I'm 31. How can I get to that LA event? You can go. Please just hit me up. You can go. Like I said, there's no hard and fast rule for if you're trying to rebuild yourself, Pavel. If you want to rebuild yourself, just hit me up in my DMs. I'll refer you to the guys at MOA who do the booking and scheduling and everything, and they'll get you locked in. So just hit me up in my DMs, either on Instagram or on Twitter, or you can email me, and it's in the description. You actually have to click more so that you can get the thing. I know you guys are lazy fucks, but click more, and then you'll get my email address is down there too, so you can contact me. And then I'll pass you on to the guys at MOA. They do all the booking. I actually have people now. I can't believe it. Necron Master Race. I could never get behind the Necrons.
It's only if they actually concentrate themselves instead of being so dispersed around.
I hate the Necrons because they have the self-repair order, the self-repair initiation, whatever it is. It's basically a feel no pain role is what it comes down to. And that's one of the reasons why I hate the Necrons so much. I mean, rules wise, I think like lore wise, they're okay, but like the reason why they're one of the toughest factions in 40K, as well as like Nurgle, like Death Guard, is because not only do they get really good saves, they're tough as fuck, but they also like get feel no pain saves. Yeah. So you basically have 3 lines of defense. You got the toughness, you got your save, and then you got a reroll for like reanimation protocol. Come on, man. So you got to hit them and like fuck them up as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Hi, Rollo. When can we expect your next book? My next book will probably be out. It's going to be the Reignite book. So I'm actually the next book in the Rational Male series is going to be I don't say it's a textbook, but it's going to coincide with Reignite, like how to sort of rebuild your life from like being zeroed out, because I think that's the reason why I want to do this is because I think that's being zeroed out and not knowing how to sort of recover from that is the number one problem most guys face right now. If you want to talk about male self-deletion, it's simply because most men don't have a network, and then they don't have any kind of sort of game plan. And so that will probably I will coincide Reignite with my 6th book. And so I'm looking at probably end of December, maybe beginning of January, certainly by the new year. So that will be the next one. And I made a horrendous error a few weeks back when I asked this plate to be my girlfriend. Yeah, that is an error. She definitely lost a lot of attraction to me after that. It finished. Yeah. You know why? Because you went from dangerous guy to familiarity. And familiarity breeds contempt. And once, remember, this is actually a pretty good one. Remember when I said about how you have to remain a mystery and you have to sort of keep your own identity? Breadcrumbing, right? Breadcrumbing is giving just a little bit of information. It's always a reward. It's behaviorism 101. You want to reward desired behavior. If that woman is seeking you and she's learning about you and she's intrigued by you and she's still trying to remember that indignation thing, if she's trying to figure you out, is he the real deal? You give a little bit more. Here's a little breadcrumb. Here's a little more. Here's a little more. Here's a little more. Come. Here's my trap. Throw it in there. Gotcha. Now I'm going to eat the dog. But a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's what breadcrumbing is. And women love it too. They hate it when I bring it up and say, this is called breadcrumbing. This is how you sort of give a little bit more of yourself, get a little more your reward, where you're rewarding women with a little more information about yourself. You're not spilling your guts on the first fucking date on the fucking restaurant table on, okay, and when I was 12, then I was in high school or I was in junior high school and my mom said this and my dad said that. And then I went and now I was 16. And when I was 16, this girl, Sally, wouldn't go with me to the homecoming dance. And you just go, blah, 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 blah. You know why guys do that? Because they want to get to they hate the attraction. The attraction phase of a seduction is uncomfortable for them. They don't know the phases of attraction, right? So they'll go, because they believe this bullshit about like full disclosure. You need to communicate with her. This is how you communicate. Here's a little, here's a little, here's a little, here's a little. You're communicating. You're still there. But you're the mystery. You need to be an onion, many layers, and you got to peel off the layers to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop, right? So yeah, you have to have some sort of mystery. Now, after a while, once women figure you out, hopefully you're already in there, right? So, oh man, here we go. Thank you for that $100. Did a small social experiment, asked 2 coworkers, 2 supervisors, and an ex-boss what they would do if they were feeling depressed, anxious, etc. Only the ex-boss said, get your money up and get in the gym. Yeah, because he's the boss, right? Others said, get more in touch with your feelings, thoughts. Let me guess. The other 2 were female or have a female mentality, right? 2 coworkers, 2 supervisors, and an ex-boss. I would wonder how many, and if those guys if there were guys who are telling you that, it's probably because they thought that that's the right thing to say. A lot of people would say that. Get in touch with your feelings. Well, I am. I'm depressed and anxious. I got in touch, and that's what getting in touch did. Made me think You'll notice that one of those is your boss's comment is a solution. The others was just kind of like, they think it's a solution, but it's not. It's what's called sounds right. It's a sounds right answer. It's like what Oprah would say, what what Taylor Swift would say. It sounds right. It's what you say when you don't know what else to say. I think that I'm going to get in touch with my feelings because that's going to solve your problem. You're already in touch with your feelings if you're feeling depressed and you're feeling anxious. Would you like me to tell you my take on this? Because I'm going to tell you anyways, whether you like it or not. Depression and anxiousness are emotions. And I don't know if if you're just doing this as a social experiment, but maybe this helps you out in the next one that you're going to do. They're emotions, and emotions are meant to get you from point A to point B. If you're feeling depressed or you're feeling anxious, it's your subconscious telling you, I can't sustain us in this present condition. We need to get the fuck out of this. We need to move to a different position. We need to get into a state and an environment that is sustainable to us, us being id, ego, and super ego. You need to get into a position. You need to move, right? And emotions are only ever about two things: reproduction and survival. And in this case, especially if it's like, if you're depressed or you're anxious, if you're depressed, it could be like, well, I ain't gonna, I don't get no hoes, right? So wait, where'd it go? Where's my no hoes? Oh, God damn it. See, the moment's gone now. Oh, here.
We're never gonna score. We're never gonna score.
That's almost better. Yes, if you don't get no hoes, then what are you gonna do? Where the fuck did I put that? Oh, that's it. It's right there.
Man, well, sometimes you don't get no hoes, man.
Yeah, see, that's it. You're depressed because you get no hoes.
Man, well, sometimes you don't get no hoes, man.
And you're anxious because you get no hoes. Okay, well, that could be reproduction, but most likely it's because you're in a state. Maybe you don't know where your next meal's coming from. Maybe you don't know how you're going to pay the rent. I would be depressed and pretty anxious if that was the case too. So it could be something that's sustainable. When you're getting in touch with your feelings, you better fucking figure out what those feelings are motivating you to do. If you're pissed off and angry, why are you pissed off and angry? Well, because you're in a position that maybe anger would serve you better than depression or anxiety, for that matter. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a negative emotion. It can be a positive emotion like happiness and joy. In fact, I usually use that as the example. One of the things I hate the most these days, and I get it from the ivory tower gatekeeping evolutionary psychology academia, which is they want to say, well, if you're married, then you're going to experience higher levels of happiness throughout your life. It's like, no, anybody using happiness as a metric to prove some sort of marriage or the childlessness or having children, having pets, not eating pets, doing things. If it's not about doing stuff, then ignore that research because it doesn't pass the acid test. Okay. Happiness is what you feel while you're doing something. It is not a state. That's why you want to know. A great example. Remember we was just talking a minute ago about how women are can't be entertained. They need people and persons to entertain themselves. You want to know why so many women are on fucking antidepressants right now is because they're trying to have a chemical solution to what's really a holistic problem, right? They don't know how to entertain themselves and they don't know what to do with themselves and they want to feel something, but they don't want to feel something, or they feel anxiety and whatever, and depression. And they're not feeling this endless state of happiness and joy because they don't understand the fundamental nature of emotions in the first place. They think they're magical. They think they're fucking like pixie dust that falls down from the sky, right? They think it's God or something like that. It's not. I can make you feel things by chemically alter. I can give you 4 shots of tequila and you're going to fucking feel a whole lot better. Now, that's a chemical solution to your anxiety and depression, but it's not a permanent solution. It's a substitute for you getting off your ass and doing something that makes you feel happy, because happiness, like all emotions, is a proximate outcome, not an ultimate outcome. And that's also what being depressed and anxious also is. It's a proximate outcome instead of an ultimate goal. Your ultimate outcome should be, I need to get the fuck out of this situation that's making me anxious and depressed and get into something so that I'm sustainable. That's what it's doing. So if you're going to check your feelings, or you're going to your boss is like, get your money up and get in the gym, that's a solution. You know what it's doing? It's doing. You're doing something. Going to the gym makes Rolo happy. I experience happiness and joy and bliss when I have got the weight of a small Volkswagen on my back when I'm squatting in the squat rack. I don't know why. I just find God in there. And if I don't, I'm like, God help me. Right? You want to feel good about yourself? Go do something. Emotion is doing. You feel while you're doing. What is this? Does Dark Triad undergo evolution as the social order adapts? I think you want me to give I'll give you my take on Dark Triad. Dark Triad personality traits: Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism. Okay. All of those characteristics independent of each other are very, very rare. In fact, if you say, well, you're a narcissist, like true clinical narcissism is like a fraction of 1% of the population has like something that is a clinically definable form of a personality or disorder that is narcissism. Psychopathy, maybe 2%. But it just depends on like what the intent. Like I think, quite honestly, everybody is a psychopath or everybody's a sociopath to some degree. But most people aren't going to go and kill people, right? So they might have some sort of sense of self-importance. That doesn't mean you're a narcissist. Like when I talk about mental point of origin and enlightened self-interest, I can't help others until I can help myself. You're a narcissist. No, I am just like a realist here. And if I was going to say you should only help yourself and fuck everybody else, then that would definitely be narcissism. Narcissism is like an unhealthy self-love or an overblown sense of self, right? That's why when women break up with a guy, they go, he was a narcissist because he put his interests above yours, so much so that you broke up with him. He's not a narcissist. It's just like he was more self-important than you were, or you were more self-important than he was. And because he didn't prioritize your needs above his own, therefore he's a narcissist. Fuck you. No, he's not. He's just a guy who probably believes in enlightened self-interest. I can't help anyone until I can help myself. That doesn't mean I don't help anyone, because I would be a narcissist if I did, but I can't help anyone, or I can't help other people as well as when I help myself first. You are a lady, my significant other. You're going to benefit from me prioritizing myself because I love you and I have a relationship with you, and I am not a narcissist, because if I was, you wouldn't even be part of this fucking equation. So narcissism's very rare. Psychopathy, very rare. Machiavellianism, especially today, exceptionally rare in men. Now, Machiavellianism, thinking about, basically, putting your, I don't even know why Machiavellianism is even a thing. Like, I know that they came up with this because it sounds like Niccolo Machiavelli, right? And so it's like thinking the worst of other people, really. Like, the fundamental basis of Machiavellianism is that other people are shit, and you have to treat them as if they're evil and they're out to get you no matter what, right? Like, I look at it this way. Not everyone is out to get you. Not everyone is out to get you, but everyone is out for themselves. So if I'm a Machiavellian personality, then that would be the root of it, right? Not everyone is out to get you, but everyone is out for themselves. So you've got to remember that if your interests align with somebody else and you have mutual self-interest, it's because both of your interests in what you want both tend to coincide. The best friendships that are developed, I'm not saying that this is the only basis of friendships, but the best friendships start from mutual interests, especially for men. They start from a mutual interest or a shared goal or a shared interest, right? So I don't think that dark triad traits should be called dark. And that's probably going to rub people the wrong way. but I don't think that they should be called dark because they are very attractive to women. Women love characters with dark triad personality traits. They prefer them in their fiction. Remember, these are the same women who prefer violent porn. These are the same women who love Christian Grey and 50 Shades of Grey, which is the most unrealistic character there possibly could be, but they love that character. They love, if you look at like the Twilight series, and was it Edward? Is he the vampire?
Edward's the vampire.
And then Jacob is the werewolf.
Yes.
Those are two, that one of those is alpha fucks and one of those is beta bucks.
Yeah.
And the werewolf is alpha fucks. Absolutely. It's funny to see how those archetypes, they don't exist in the same man. They exist in other, and that's a formula for romance novels. Is, should I get with the happy-go-lucky scoundrel? Should I get with Han Solo? Or should I get with the guy, the trust fund guy, who is the safe bet, comes from money, has, but he's not as exciting as fucking Han Solo. I'm going to fuck Han Solo. And then once he won't commit, then I'm going to get with the other dude. Right. So, but if anything is dark about the dark triad traits, it's the attraction that women have to those traits. And I don't necessarily see them as dark. I think a healthy self-love or a interest, a self-importance is necessary for anybody's ego, really. I think that psychopathy is so rare that it's to be something that is like not, I don't even know why it's even on the list. But if you're going to look at psychopathy, what is psychopathy? Like not caring what other people, like I can't help others until I can help myself. It's only focusing on the help myself part of that rather than the others part of it. And Machiavellianism. I think all of those are actually pretty healthy traits in regulation. Within you take anything to an extreme, you even take like agreeableness. Like if you take the big 5 personality traits, agreeableness, conscientiousness, if you take those and you amplify them to the nth degree, they are as unhealthy as any of the dark triad traits. Dark triad traits happen to be self-interested traits. Conscientiousness, agreeableness, all the rest of the big 5 ones that are like, well, these are what we want to encourage in people's personalities, which by the way are genetically determined and there's really nothing we can fucking do about it anyways. But if we're going to look at dark triad versus like say big 5, I don't think we need to be calling one dark and one light. I think if you take any of those things, if you take agreeableness to its like illogical, absurd extreme, that's when you get guys who are just pedestalizing women and they off themselves because they listen to Michael Bolton sing, "How am I supposed to live without you?" They write bad poetry. They burden us with shitty songs and shitty stuff. Like, get the fuck out of here. I want to go listen to the Lamb of God. Yeah. I don't think the dark triad traits should be called dark at all. Because what you're doing is you're applying a connotation to them. And by the way, psychologists, I'm looking squarely at you. Because by adding that connotation, you're putting an implicit bias in this is good and this is bad. I don't necessarily see those as good or bad. If you take them to their extreme, then yes, extreme narcissism, extreme psychopathy, you might kill somebody, right? But their extreme agreeableness is just as life damaging as an extreme narcissism. Why is agreeableness not it's dark agreeableness? Get the fuck out of here with those fucking judgment calls. You're supposed to be objective. You're supposed to be impartial. So stop calling them fucking dark triad, dark this, dark that. It's not fucking Star Wars. This is the Sith over here, and this is the good guys. These are the fucking Jedi. These are Jedi personality traits, and these are Sith personality traits. Fuck off. When a collection releases of your book, when will a collection of releases of your books? You mean like a boxed set? That's a good idea. I should do that. I should do that of all the hardbacks I'm working on right now. Almost like I have thought of it already. What books would you recommend on phase of attraction? There's only one I can recommend. The Rational Male Preventive Medicine. Because that's the only place that you're going to get this chart. which is phases of phases of attraction. No, I'm sorry. I thought you meant phases of maturity. No, let's see if I can, let me backpedal a little bit here. Phases of attraction is mystery method. Phases of attraction. Okay, so let me backtrack. No, you can get that in two places. There's two books that I can recommend for understanding phases of attraction. One is the Venusian Arts. It's mystery method. Okay. The second one is my book, is the Player's Handbook, because I go into detail and I explain that in more modern terms. So Venusian Arts, which is Mystery's old book, his old program, anyways, it talks about phases of attraction. And then Mystery Method also kind of gets into it a little bit. In the Player's Handbook, which is my 5th book, I go into a lot of detail about like how that like sort of plays out in modern times. So those two, if you can find it, if you can find Mystery Method, you would have to find like a PDF copy of that somewhere online, because I don't think it's sold on Amazon. I could be wrong, but you can find my book, The Player's Handbook, on Amazon today, and available only on Amazon. Let's see. Let's get to the last of these here. Rolo, you should see Mathew Hussey versus your friend Sadia Khan debate on Lewis House. I think somebody threw that at me, and I have yet to go see it yet. Sadia Khan, not a psychologist, going against Mathew Hussey, also not a psychologist. Yes, Sadia Khan is a fraud. But everybody, but what she's saying is true. Yeah, but she's a shill and a fraud, and she just uses that pretty little face of hers to fucking like put one past you. Dexter's series shows hybristophilia at its best. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, dark. Yeah, Dexter's an interesting fucking show. All right, we're at the 3 hour and 30 minute mark. I think it's time to sort of wrap things up here, Commander Kyle. Yeah, I know. Sorry to wake you up. Kyle, put yourself on screen, so you know that he's actually a real individual. Yes, he's right here. Okay, just so you guys know, there is actually a Kyle. It's not just some disembodied voice that I have. He's not a voice.
I'm not AI.
He's not a voiceover. Yes. All right, guys. So let's parse this out for you guys. I am going to be doing Access Vegas. We had another Access Vegas coming up on Thursday. That will be the 19th, I believe. Yes, it is the 19th. Is 4 days from now. So we'll be doing Access Vegas then. We've kind of changed I don't want to say we changed the format for Access Vegas, but like me and Mike are like kind of like trying to mix things up a little bit differently. We definitely had some really good guests on. We had one girl that was on the show. She was a porn star, and I didn't know she was a porn star. That was a girl that was on the end here, and she was the one who worked with Sterling Cooper. I'm like, oh, you're in the industry. She was a girl that was on HGH. She was on human growth hormone and everything. I'm like, I want to talk to you. I want to know what your stack is. My Mike's like, she's like, yeah, I'm thinking about trying Anavar. Mike's like, no, she's already on HGH. Like, how much more do you need? And it was interesting because I asked her, I said, like, has your like libido shot up since you started doing HGH? And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, she was like, I look at guys like I have to catch myself from like fantasizing about fucking guys that I see, because like it's one thing for guys to be like have like 12 to 17 times the amount of serum testosterone that women do. Like I've talked to women who've been female bodybuilders before, and the first thing they'll tell me is like, I can't believe you guys are like this all the time, 24/7. Like, well, you know, it is what it is. No, I haven't read Happiness by Gad Saad. When I'm talking about happiness, it's coming from this book called Positive Evolutionary Psychology, which I know a lot of people like think is a misnomer, but it's true. It's a really, really good book, and it's a very short read too. It's by 2 evolutionary psychologists, and I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but I have highlighted this book more than any other book that I've ever like read. And by the way, it was a suggestion by not a personal one, but it was a suggestion by Rob Henderson. And so if you're asking me like when I talk about happiness and how it's a proximate outcome instead of an ultimate outcome, that's in that book. It's called Positive Evolutionary Psychology. And there's an entire chapter dedicated to happiness, sadness, and like emotive states. And it makes a lot of fucking sense. And I mean, statistically, research wise, and just like fucking in general, it just makes some really good sense. And honestly, I think that like I completely changed my mind about all this bullshit about like, well, childless women are happier overall, or married men are happier overall. Like, no, if you're using happiness as a metric for like long-term contentment, get the fuck out of somebody is selling you something. And usually it's SSRIs. It's antidepressants, right? Or they want to medicate you somewhere, or it's tequila. So I haven't read Happiness by Gad Saad, but I will probably download it. I've got to make another drive. I've got to drive my Chrysler 300 from Reno all the way back down to, well, actually here, because it's now the new company car. But I will probably listen to that on the drive down. That sounds like a good suggestion. Thank you for that, sir. So anyways, I was talking to the porn star turned bodybuilder chick, and she was mentioning, she said, yeah, I'm way more horny than, and she was a porn star, for fuck's sake. And she was 40 years old too. I think she's out of the business now, but she was. And I'm like, man, I want to get to know you. But she was actually pretty cool. But we had a really good show, and I don't think we've really been I think a lot of people think we try to get porn stars on the show. And it's like, we could. I could have nothing but porn stars on here if I wanted to, but we don't. Actually, we mixed it up pretty good on the last one, I think, and we're trying to get a good blend now, because we have, like, women are sourcing themselves for the show. They want to be on the show. They'll hit me up and say, I want to be on this week. So I can, like, I know, like, Domo is like one of my favorite girls. Shout out to Domo. Or Tiffany Fox, for that matter, but they're both in the industry, right? So I can only use them like so often. Milana Ricci, my favorite, absolute 100, my favoriteest spicy star, porn star there is. I love her to death, but she is a lesbian. But I love having her on the show. But we've been mixing it up. We have entrepreneurial girls on here. We get girls on here who've never been on the show. In fact, I was very proud of that. 4 of the 6 girls that were on the show had never been on the show before. So we're trying to, like Mike and I are deliberately trying to mix things up a little bit more. The possibility exists that I might bring on a substitute co-host now and then. So it'll still be me. But the only reason for that is Mike has got so much going on in the month of October that I might bring someone else in as sort of a guest. And there's been a few names mentioned. One of them is Icy from Fresh and Fit. Yes. Because she is in Los Angeles right now. And I've been talking to Icy for like the last couple of days. Fresh from Fresh and Fit will be in here on the 27th of September. We might be able to do one show with Fresh before, like, I have to leave on the 28th because I am going to close on my my house up in Reno, and then I got to get everything moved. So I'll be moving, and I'll be like really intensely busy toward the end of this month and the very first week of, like, up until about the 4th of October. So if I'm not doing this or you don't hear from me, that's because I'm transitioning from Reno to Las Vegas permanently. If you haven't heard, I am now going to be a Las Vegas resident permanently. And so we got that happening, but we will be doing a show on Thursday. And so we got that happening. If you are interested in Reignite, we will be launching very soon. In fact, I've got to do a lot more video work. It's becoming a job now. It's becoming a real job for me. So the guys at MOA are like thrilled that I'm on board, and we're doing something that's unique. It's not like me just trying to like repeat what Mike's been doing. I wouldn't even dream of trying to do what he does. But you know, myself and Joe Marin saw a need, and we're going to fill that need. And we're actually doing something that is proactive rather than just sitting here and complaining and sitting on our fucking thumbs. So we have that coming up. We will be doing the launch. If it's not next week, it'll probably be Monday of the week after. But it will be this month. And then, as I said before, there will be we're doing our very first planned sort of event meetup kind of thing. It will be October 16th, 17th, and 18th. It'll be in Los Angeles, California, Hollywood, California. It will be centered on the Babes in Toyland Pink Party that is happening at Sky Bar in Los Angeles. It is at the Mondrian Hotel, which is an absolutely fantastic fucking hotel. The Sky Bar is a fantastic venue. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. So we'll be doing the 16th, which is like sort of our meetup, get together, get to know each other, sort of do our, our groundwork kind of stuff. We might go to a cigar bar. We might go to, we're still like determining what exactly we're going to do. We might go to some like clothing stores for guys who need style counseling. If I can get, Jim Kilgore is going to be there with us too. So he's like sort of our stylist guy. Then the 17th, of course, is the event. And then on the 18th, we'll be there probably half of the day. And we're going to do sort of like an after action kind of like what did you like? What did you think of the event? How did it go for you kind of thing? So we don't just leave you hanging. We actually do follow through on the actual event, like the day after the event too. So, and as I said before, you're going to make friends. It's not just me and Joe. It's like you guys also, everybody together. And we're a tribe, right? We're a tribe to help each other out. If you're 31, that's fine. You can come. But we're looking at a demographic of guys who essentially want to rebuild their lives. Like if you've been zeroed out and you're trying to sort of like work back from zero, we're here. That's what this is for. It's for guys who are trying to reconstruct themselves instead of offing themselves, instead of deleting yourselves. So we're here to help. We're here to network. We're here to put you in touch with the people who, like if we can't help, we're here to put you in touch with people who can. Like I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist, but we know people who are. If you want to get into TRT, if you want to get into hormone optimization, we've got guys for that. If you want guys who can give you a workout program, if you want to get your business back on point, if you're trying to even find a job, because a lot of guys, they can't even really focus on their love life or their personal life until they've got a fucking job, right? They might have lost their job and lost their wife and got a divorce and they're still working back from zero. And they can't even begin to think about, gaming girls or getting a style coach or doing this stuff until they can get a job. Well, we have guys to help you with that too. Sort of like get you back on track as far as, your business is concerned or your career is concerned. And then from there, then we can start talking about your, health, wealth, and relationships. So, well, we're working on the wealth side, right? So until you can sort of get to a point where like you can go, okay, I'm financially stable. Now I can do this, right? Or if you are already financially stable, then now we can work on other aspects. You need to get in the gym. You need to learn congruency. You need to, speak up. You need, like, we're going to tell you, like, we don't pull punches in Reignite. I mean, if you're not, like, we've got guys who are really soft spoken. We're like, speak up. Say, talk, use your outside voice, or if there's something, we're going to tell you, and we're not doing it to be dicks or to hurt your feelings or anything or to haze you or bully you. We're doing it because we see the problem and you need to address the problem. And we're going to tell you what the problem is. And and from there we can work on it. If you don't know, then you don't know, right? Maybe it's your body language. Maybe it's your vocal intonation. Maybe it's your congruency. Maybe it's your social skills. Maybe it's not knowing what to say. Maybe you're not a good conversationalist. I don't know. But we have people here who are going to help you with that. So that's the Reignite program. If you're interested in getting involved with that, again, DM me either on Instagram or Twitter, or just email me. Again, my email address is always in the description. You just click on more and you'll see rtrationalmail@gmail.com. And then I will be happy to put you in touch with the people who do the booking and who are the people who get you on board with Reignite. Okay. Cause I'm only one dude. So there's that. Let me see. I grab this last one here. Please bring on Owen Cook. Owen wins Rolo Firepod. I would love to get Owen on. I like Owen quite a bit. You want to know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up. You know what's great? The first time we did like sort of the preliminary stuff when we were kind of like coming up with the idea for Reignite, it was like two guys and we were in Los Angeles. We were at the Babes in Toyland. It was in June. And we ran into Owen Cook there and we just hung out with Owen Cook at a kind of like a restaurant kind of thing. It was like a health food kind of place, I guess, Greens or something like that. And we were there and I don't think these guys really realized this is Owen Cook, right? Like just to sit here and just pick his brain and ask him questions and just have the conversation with, like, for me and Mike, we talk with them, but like people pay top dollar just go to like a hot seat or some kind of mastermind or something with Owen. And here we are. And it's like, you guys, we just happen to be in the right place at the right time. And he hangs out with us. He's really good friends with me. He's really good friends with Mike. And so the possibility that if exists that if you are part of Reignite, you might even meet him at the pink party, because I know he's in Los Angeles. So, and we run in the same crowds. So it might be an added bonus. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. It has happened in the past. So, how do you get over the one ex that zeroed you out and screwed you over? I feel I will always resent her and fam. I am at fault for letting them walk all over me. Well, you know what? That's why Reignite exists. Here's what you do, my friend. You join Reignite, and we will be happy to like work with you and come up. The great thing about Reignite is it's not a cookie cutter thing. It's not a one size fits all. Here, these are 12 rules for life. Just do these things and you'll live a great life. No, that's not what we do. We have everything is individualized. So if your problem is resentment and regret, we're going to, like, Joe Marin's going to help you with that. That's an emotional thing. So Joe will be happy to fucking walk you through that. And then once you sort of get out of that phase, then got me, and you've got all kinds of other guys to help you along with the next phase. Maybe you need to get in shape. Maybe you need to get yourself out there. Maybe you need to just fucking get back on the fucking horse. We're here to help you get back. We're here to push you back on the fucking horse and kick your ass out, right? We don't see, the thing about Reignite is I want guys. I mean, if you want to, I mean, it's in my best interest that you stay involved in Reignite, but that's not the point of it. I want you to get what you need, get out there, get the life that you want, and then move on. Please. We got more than enough people who want to be involved in all of this. So, but the idea is not to keep you wrapped up perpetually. It's to give you the individualized solutions that you need. And if you want to stay, fine. If you got what you needed, fine. It's like hiring a golf pro, right? Are you gonna improve your swing? After 30, and by the way, we have a 30-day money back guarantee too. So like, if you get involved in it and you pay the registration for it, if for any reason you say, hey, this is not for me, here's your money. That's 30 days or whatever. I think it's 30-day money back guarantee. So, and no questions asked. So just check it out, man. Contact me. Either email or DMs or whatever else, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. So that's it for today, guys. I will see you again, same time next week, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I think we got into some good shit today, man. This is actually a pretty good one today. I try to keep it lively and peppy and everything, but there you go. All right, guys. So I will see you. The next time you will see me will be on Thursday, Access Vegas. Access Vegas is at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern time. And quite honestly, I think by the end of the year, we're going to be the last podcast or last red pill podcast standing. So you get on board now. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks. Peace. Peace be with you, my friend.
Just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Tell these bitches to go to hell. Like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now, let go. Bound to keep me up all night. Guilty, 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 guilty. But maybe we can all right. bathroom, tearing up every wall while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole top stopping and stopping with her head like she's calling you Kelly. So baby, come run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting nasty, working up and down on your body. Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night.
Sadia.
But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know. And maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Oh, those guys are fine.
Preceding podcast has been a production of The Rational Male. All rights reserved. 2024 registered trademark. Straight out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And don't steal my stuff.
Goddamn right.
Like, man, bro, sometimes you don't get no hoes, man.
All right, all right, all right.
She's not a Christian!
God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not.